Good morning, everyone. Hello. Let me fix the camera really quick. Just bend it down so you can see more of my pretty face. What's that shiny thing? Oh, it's a little bit of light. Boop. There we go. Good morning to everyone. Look, hey, we're live finally. Can you believe it? Oh my good gosh. I was a little bit worried I was gonna have the same problem as yesterday or last week. And I thought it was going to do that because YouTube took a little while to like grab the video feed that you see here and push it to YouTube side to where I could hit the go live button. Oh, let me fix the camera real quick. I'm so excited. I just jumped right into this. Okay, give me 1 second. Pull up the properties. And I can go to configure. Because I like to take off exposure. Let's see here. Let's go. Boom, boom, boom. There, that should be good enough. Got a loose hair on me. I like to look pretty for all of you people. Let's get the focus to fix. And I always forget what the white balance was. Let's see. No. Right. Decently right. Let's see. Let's do blue. Go up just a tad. Sure, right there's good. All right, boom. That feels a little bit better. Good morning to everyone. Let me start at the top. Thank you guys for being in here right at the start. I love how you are all talking and chatting and having a little bit of fun and doing all that stuff. That's so beautiful with what all you guys are doing right there. And it really warms my heart. So let's just say hello, good morning, Lorraine, baby, Dan. Let me scroll down here, make it easy for me. If I miss anybody, please let me know. We've got Robbie. There we go. Now I can see it. Hopefully I said good morning, Dan's life. Jack, how you doing there today? Kimberly, hello. And I think we got everybody. Good morning. Good. Glad it looks well. I came prepared. I feel like a sneeze is coming on. I got a really hot cup of coffee. You know, you guys like this mug and everything like that. I have a bagel, one banana, and a cup of water. So I'm ready to do art reviews. I shouldn't get too hungry or too thirsty. I'm just ready to dominate, and I'm extra amped since we didn't get to do this last time. Like, you don't understand how bummed I was. I know how to do all the streaming and everything like that, and I couldn't figure out how to get YouTube to do it. Then I found out it was a YouTube issue that wasn't grabbing my data and allowing me to do anything with it. In fact, it was like an issue for like 4 or 5 days. It was like holding on to that stream. And I think the reason was because one of my friends who's in the channel every now and then, Hi Lou, let me know. He was like, hey man, did you mean to set the stream for 9 p.m.? And I was like, no, I meant to do 9 a.m. So I scheduled the stream, then I had to go in and change the settings. And I moved it to 9 a.m. And when I did that, I don't think it really saved it correctly. So it didn't know like to allow me to stream earlier, which is why I think I couldn't go live. So I think we fixed that. Now I should always be good. Now I can start investing in a bunch of stuff for, you know, all the stream and all that stuff. So it's going to be really fun. Hey, what's up, Rob? Rob C. Hey, what up, Primetime? How you doing there, man? Yeah, I remember I have babies. I have to grab everything. So I don't have anything on the standby because I wasn't sure if this was going to work or you know, we were going to have issues. So I've got my file ready. I do remember a couple of people let me know. I believe Lorraine sent me one last time, but I can't remember where Lorraine sent it to me. I think it might have been Instagram if I remember correctly. So let me go there. If you'd like me to do yours, so on this channel today, on this live stream, we're going to do art reviews, Q&As, just jam out, talk, have a good time. If you have any art question or question towards me, what makes it real easy is if you can please, let me move up my microphone just a tiny bit. There we go. That's probably better. I'm going to bump it up so the sound's a little bit higher for you guys on your side. If you have any questions, you can put the @ symbol and then type in Wild Creates and then put your question after that. What that does for me is when I see the chat, I can easily see it with my eyes, so I know you're talking to me and not somebody else in the chat. So let me see where Lorraine's was. Let's see. Let's see. What was your username on Instagram, Lorraine? Why am I not seeing these now? Is it under requests? Or if you can, Lorraine, I guess if you can resend it to me so it pops to the top, that would probably be best. Why is this not showing for me? Was it not messages that you sent it to me on? I got a post from Daniel. Daniel brand new. That was the one he sent me. What's this one? Don't know that one. I get so many random messages from people. It's awesome and cumbersome. Not Smiley. And then, baby, where did you send yours to? So that way I know exactly where to grab it from as well. Oh, you emailed me. Okay. Well, if Ryan read his things. Go to my Gmail account here. You're on mobile? Where's the member section? I think it's probably near the typing section, Primal. Should be like where the emojis are. Probably the $ or some kind of symbol like that around there. A little bit of quality with the buffering. Okay, cool. Thank you for letting me know. In my country, it's 7 o'clock, but good morning. Well, good evening, good afternoon to the rest of the world. You love the piece behind me? Yeah, so I don't know if you can fully see it. So that's today's project for me, Kim. I'm going to... I'll see if I can pull it up. It's going to get blown out with everything, with the lights and whatnot. But that's going to get epoxied today. Baby, let's see. I got Ben Allen. Oh, there's babies. Okay, well, we can grab babies. I'm going to grab the one baby. Baby. That is more of the landscape one. So here we're going to call that baby. So I got yours, baby. And let's see. I have one from Yovette too, which is awesome. Smiley. Okay, so it was Smiley. Smiley Zimmerman. There we are. Ooh. Let's see. You want that one? Alrighty, let's grab that one, Lorraine. Pull this down and across. Just gonna title it low. There we go. Alright, so we got two. We can keep adding as we go and how much energy that I have. So let me see if I can show you this piece behind me really quick. Now this is... It's Angela. I'm not gonna remember that. So, hey, what's up, KR? How you doing there today? I'm dyslexic, and one of the biggest fears I have, or I'm not as scared as it now because I grew up devilishly handsome, but I always had a problem with reading out loud and somewhat public speaking to some degree, to where I get so nervous because I stutter. You probably see it sometimes in my YouTube videos, that I feel like I get judged on it. So when I see things, I just have to read them as they are. So my brain internally can't go, oh, baby is Angela. I gotta go, baby, and then continue reading so that way I don't feel nervous. That's just the way my brain works. It's weird, you know? Do I have any other than landscapes? Submitter ones? Not at the moment. How's everything going with you, KR? Hopefully you're doing well. And Joylyn. Hello, Joylyn. How's everything going tonight with you? Or, sorry, good morning. I usually would do streams at night, so I don't know why. That's the super chat. That's like sending a don't know. Maybe Tally can see it. I don't know how you do it on the mobile. If anybody knows how to do this member on the mobile side, if, Primal could probably use a little help on finding it. I don't know where it is. I just know on my side, Primal would be like at the bottom of where you would type. I read everything backwards because I jump around. So for this piece here, oh jeez, just hit myself in the knee. So this is gonna be tough to show on camera, but let me see if I can grab the center post back here. Actually, I can't because it's so far. So this piece right here, as you can see, it's huge, big piece here. So this is the piece that I'm currently just finished doing a video on, and I'm not gonna give away what the video is about, but it's a good life lesson for an artist. In fact, there's 2 lessons in there. And what it is, this is an acrylic pour that I did with some impasto techniquing, where it's got some waves to it. It's a little hard to see from your side, so let's see if we can turn it just ever so slightly. You can see how it color shifts a little bit. But it's got copper leaf on it, which is like gold leaf, just copper style. But I pressed in here to create peaks and valleys. So when the light hits it, it shines differently, as you can see. And I'm going to epoxy that. So to epoxy it, to get it to level or self-level correctly, I'm going to take the gold leaf that may have little ups and downs. And I'm going to take it's a roller essentially, but it's a plastic roller. So to take some of those peaks that might be poking up too high for the epoxy coating, because it's only going to be a few millimeters of epoxy, I'm going to roll so that way it flattens them a little bit, so that way the epoxy can go over, you know, easily and straight. But there's a cool story behind that. Funny story, which is a video I just did yesterday, finished yesterday, and I was getting very nervous because it wasn't exporting correctly. And of course, I'm the type of person that likes to be somewhat of a perfectionist, to where I was like, fuck, please export, please export. I just wasted like 6 hours editing this. Good afternoon. I appreciate that. Does anybody do anything fun with their day today? That's okay. I appreciate it, Primal. I appreciate checking it. You said, is that the one you sent on Instagram, Dan? Oh, Matt Steinberg. Thank you for becoming a member, bro. I appreciate that. You are awesome. You are awesome. Let me grab the one from Dan. Let me accept the message. Is that the same one you sent me? I have a different one that you sent me, Lorraine. The one with the mountain in the background. Do you want to do the one with the mountain, or do you want me to do the one with the waterfall? You pick, please. So that way I can get it correctly. I have 2 Dans that sent me artwork. I got Lil Dan and I've got Daniel. Which one are you? Matt, how you doing there today, man? What do I use to edit? For videos, I use Adobe Premiere. I like it, even though a lot of people say like it crashes and whatnot, but it depends on your settings and specs on your computer. If you need something that's free, DaVinci Resolve's a pretty good program. That's what Primal uses in the at the moment. If you're talking about photos, I use Photoshop. I've used Photoshop for like the better part of like 10 years. But you're painting later, Rob. What are you gonna be painting, dude? I would love to do a painting today. I don't know if I'm gonna have time. It's cold outside. I usually like to paint when it's a little bit warmer. I don't know. That's a good question. That's why I was kind of curious if like he could check, but I could always have Tally. He might be able to take a look later. Dan. Okay, let me grab that one. Who's this other Dan then? All right, got that. So we got Dan, Lorraine, and Baby. Where's my chat? Okay, let's see. Lorraine, you just sent this one in. You pick? Okay, I'll pick. Well, let's start doing a review. Hey, what's up, Pedro? How you doing there today? You don't have to be a Patreon member, or what is the YouTube member on here. I don't have Patreon. If you go somewhere down below the video player, there's going to be like a join button that allows you to join to become a YouTube member, which is kind of like a Patreon thing. And I set those people to be a priority over everybody else, because it's part of the perks and benefits that I get. So you'll notice when you're a member, just like Matt became, thank you, Matt, I appreciate it, you're awesome, you're going to get a little badge or symbol next to your name. So you can see like Lorraine has one too, so it makes it easy for me to notice like who to pick or who to prioritize. Makes it a little bit better. Or easier for me, not better necessarily. It is better. Yes, everybody that's got a badge is better. Matt, you're doing pretty good. Had to pick up my paint gear once my second kid was born, but your videos are making me want to crack everything open again. Go for it, dude. Gotta go for it. The cool thing is, first of all, congratulations on your child, is when you have a creative outlet, it's something awesome and fun to pass on to your kids. And also, when your kids are young, I'm not a father, but I am an uncle of a 3 and almost 6-year-old that are very hard to wrangle. The one thing that does wrangle them in is they love art. Finger painting, coloring with crayons, markers, chalk. Chalk is huge for kids. You want to be a good dad, you want to be a good uncle, you want to be a good aunt, you want to be a good mom. You don't have to get your kids any expensive things. Just get them colorful chalk and a sidewalk and they will be occupied for a long time. Granted, sidewalk's going to look like colorful crap, but keeps them occupied, and that's a win-win. You're in the middle of painting an angel in the clouds wearing Converse? That sounds awesome. Okay, let's start with Lorraine's. Let me grab Lorraine's over here and pull and get it to load really quick. And I'll switch over. I'm going to take a sip of my coffee. I need to take a bite of my bagel, too, so that way I've got all the energy needed. Pedro, thank you for becoming a member. I appreciate that. You're awesome, bro. Welcome to our little wild community. I appreciate it. Feel free to use the emojis. Oh, yeah, when you become a member, you get emojis that you can type in chat. If you're not sure what those are, below where you're typing, there's a little smiley face that I've loaded my own personal ones in there, so feel free to have some fun with those. All right, gonna take a bite. Give me one moment. I know, not really a professional thing to do, but I need it. There's too much cream cheese on bagels these days. I know, real controversial look. There you go. Use those emojis, bro. All right. Let's take a look at what we got here. I'm going to move my bagel slightly to the left. To the left. To the left. All right. Let's take a look what we got here. That's too big. Oh, Joy Lynn. Thank you. Look at that. Doubles. Doubles on it. Oh, my good moggy goggly boogly. And Rob doing hard for us. Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to do awesome work for you to inspire you. So thank you, Rob, dude. That is awesome of you. And then it allows me to get another canvas. I appreciate that. You're awesome. We'll let that pop there on channel. I'm going to get rid of my ugly face so we can all absorb this beautiful piece of artwork here. Oops, no. Do not want that background layer to convert. So let's take a look of what we got here while that pops. So this is a beautiful, I don't know if this is a square canvas. It looks like it's a 12 by 12, perhaps. There we go. We'll bring my face back for that. Rob, boom. Thank you for that. I appreciate you, bro. We'll go big screen for that. Thank you so much for the dono there, the super chat. I appreciate the support. That took that bar already to the top. I've got a cool piece of artwork that I'm going to do for a video. It's going to be beautiful. It's inspired from a piece that I saw on Instagram. It's going to go on like one of these big gigantic canvases. It's going to do a beautiful gradient sun across. I'm going to show people how to take a palette knife and go down across the horizon line to create a 3D impasto texture that makes beautiful art that's simplistic and easy. And they sell for a lot of money, but look gorgeous in your house. So that's what that dono just went to. I went to the supplies for that. So Rob, thank you for being a bro, because you're a bro. Now let's look at the art. Let's get rid of here. So we've got a beautiful art piece from Lorraine. This is Lorraine currently in channel right now. So if you have any questions, comments, or criticisms, or positive feedback, feel free to let her know. So we've got a beautiful, it's almost like, I almost couldn't say this is a full daytime scene, because this is such a blown out sun that it almost looks like it's a moon in the like misting night. But this is awesome piece that we got going across here. So this looks great. So let's go through and see what, see what criticisms, critiques that we can give to improve the artwork, okay? Or to at least help Lorraine, or issues that I see that might allow her to nail it better the next time. Hey, what's up, Ron Swanson, the OG Ron Swanson? I know, I don't have a Nightbot in here just yet. Hey, what's up, Gary? How you doing tonight? Or today? I gotta start saying this morning. Okay, so let's go across this artwork. So we've got a nice little mountain landscape with a, let's just say, forest scene with some bushes and trees going on. So when I first take a look at this Lorraine, the very first thing I notice is it looks patchy. Now, patchy isn't bad, and it's not, you know, an improper way of doing things. It's a stylistic choice. Some people like things smooth, and some people like theirs to have a patch streak style to it. Completely up to you. But if you're going to do more of a wet on wet, since it's paint on paint on paint on paint, generally the nice thing about that is it allows you to work with those wet layers to create smooth gradients. And you don't really have anything smooth going on here. As we go across, it looks like you have streaks, almost making me think like this could be not oil necessarily, but acrylic that you worked in sections. And you can really notice it down here in the corners. I'm going to push it over the side. Like, look how dry the canvas is down here to where you don't have those smooth colors going in to where you can have a water sheen go across. So I feel like you're either not using gesso or enough coats of gesso, and you're not putting down the correct amount of liquid medium at the start, which would be liquid white or liquid clear for a piece like this, okay? So the way you can test is when you put your liquid mediums on, I like to do the finger test that I teach. You got 4 fingers here, touch each section. So we're going to take your piece. I'm going to duplicate this layer really quick. Let's go to our colors. Let's make this red really quick for you. So, and let's increase the sponge, or sponge the brush. So you're going to touch once here, once here, once here, and once here. Look at your fingers and make sure they're not gigantic blobs, more like fingerprints. And then that's how you know you got a decent coverage and correcting of your liquid medium at the start. Also, when you go through your canvas, I always like to use gray gesso, so that way you can just cover the entire thing. If you have a spot you missed, like over here, you go like, oh yeah, I gotta fill this, and then I gotta fill this, and then I gotta fill this with your gesso and liquid medium on top. That's why I like to use a light gray gesso, because it helps. It's kind of like a way of cheating, but it's not cheating if it's helping you. It's just, don't tell anyone. How can you send me a pic? Twitter, Instagram is the best at the moment. Yeah, when you have those, when you have the wet on wet colors and the correct medium down, Joy, you are able to pull down to have that fade down in your sky, that light pollution slash intensity of light reflecting back off the earth to create that white band, which we're gonna get to in a moment. Okay, good notice. Am I buffering? I hope not. You tell me if I ever have any issues. So I would say when you take your paint, your blue sky, and I would start in this corner and start in this corner. And then I would slowly start working in this general direction. Then I would take my brush, let's get blue here, and I would stop painting like literally right here, okay? So that way when I start working with my paint and start doing like cross strokes and cross strokes and cross strokes and cross strokes, I can then take a big 2-inch brush and start working down in this general direction. But I would stop right around this black band, because as I start pulling color down, it's start gonna mix with that undercoat, so that way it's gonna create a natural, beautiful gradient going across, allowing me to have more contrast between my background layer and my mountain and my midground. So that way everything's going to, gotta see where my hands are going for you. That way everything can start pulling forward, okay? And that's gonna create a lot more depth. When you have one blue going down, it's not wrong or anything like that. It just makes it more flat, because if you were to grayscale this out, see how, let's zoom in here a little bit. See how these colors right here, this color right here, I thought I changed this to blue, did I not save it? And this color right here, they're pretty similar, okay? So that's why there's not too much contrast. If you had something that was like a little more intensity, like this white over here, going into this mountain, you'd have more separation, and that's what builds depth. Now, that's why you want to start to do that gradient that comes down, because it's slowly going to do that transition and make it real easy for you. Just something to think about. Oh my gosh, I have no idea how you say your name. Axat? Please spell that phonetically for me. I'm just going to call you X for right now. You ask a really good question. Does gesso get rid of the grid canvas marks? Now, it depends on what you're talking about. A lot of professional artists will throw up a grid, a sectional grid on their painting, on their canvas, so that they can trace or copy an image verbatim. So they do it in sections, so they can draw so everything remains the correct perspective and correct dimensions, okay? Zat, like Zaat. Or you can do if you're talking about the grid, which is the actual toothing on a canvas that grabs your paint as you go across. So if you're talking about the one we just mentioned, the ladder, gesso eventually fills in those gaps with every layer, making that toothing smaller. So it will get rid of that. If you're talking about the graphite drawn on grid that you do for like portraits or copying something verbatim perfectly, white and black gesso will cover those grid drawn marks up unless you dilute the gesso with a little bit of water, making it more transparent. Which is why professional artists, if you go back and you watch my gesso videos, like on all the major types of gesso, you would use clear gesso. Clear gesso allows your graphite or pencil marks to show through. So that way you can have the gesso layer on there, so you can have smooth canvas or a certain type of texture on your canvas, but you can still see what you're drawing, okay? So you'd probably, I answered both, so you're lucky. How come we never see any color combinations on Bob's brushes? Like he'll always go from dark red, blue skies with his clouds, and then the paintbrush will be still a solid white. So in the earlier seasons, Matt, you'll see him clean his brushes more often to where he doesn't have as much color contamination or color mixture or color build on his brush. Hi, Tony. How you doing there today? In the later seasons, like I would say probably after season 3, when Bob starts doing a little more intricate or more layers, let's just say, he tells you right off the bat, and you can sometimes see it when it does a wide zoom out, he has probably somewhere close to 12 to 18 brushes on his shelf. And that's because I do the same thing with certain brushes, is I'll have a brush combination, usually a 1-inch and a 2-inch, or sorry, 2 2-inch brushes, 2 1-inch brushes, and 2 fan brushes is my go-to combination. And each one of those pairings is one is for light colors and one is for dark colors. Or sometimes one is for only white, because I don't want to contaminate my white, and one is for other colors, okay? And when you do that, it makes it easier to move back and forth. You're less coloring, or sorry, less cleaning, I mean. And that's what you see from Bob and why you won't see a lot of changes on his brush sometimes. Do you gesso when you do acrylic on a prime canvas? I gesso everything. And the reason I gesso everything, this is an important lesson to have, is until you find canvases that you're comfortable with, or like the canvas behind me, this is a level 3 canvas from Michaels. I don't know if there's an equivalent if you live in a different country from me, or you're across the Atlantic or Pacific, or I guess technically you could be on the other side of the hemisphere as well. I know this canvas in and out. It's a medium rough texture for me that's got a good start of gesso coverings. But if I was going to do any wet and wet technique on something like this, I would put down 1 to 2 extra layers of gesso. If I was going to do traditional painting on a dry, I would leave it how it is. If I was going to do acrylic, I would probably do 1 layer of gesso. If I was going to do an acrylic pour, 2 to 3. Because I want to get rid of all the toothing. I want it to be smooth. And that's just something you learn over time. But for most people, when you're starting out, you're going to buy the cheapest canvas. And that's fine. I still do that for a lot of my YouTube tutorials because, it makes it economical for me, obviously. And when you learn the canvas, oh, this one needs 1 layer, 2 layers for the type of painting I'm going to do today. Or this one doesn't need 1 at all. Or I can do the top layer, half coat, and the bottom layer leave dry because I'm going to do like land or, I don't know, mountains or whatever you want to do. It's just something you learn. And it's something you'll eventually learn by touching and fingering your canvas. Don't get naughty. But you'll feel like roughness and the toothing that grabs the little ridges in your finger. And you go, oh, yeah, this will be perfect for this, or this won't be perfect for this. It's just something you learn over time. You watch Bob on TV as a child, now you're 6 years old. Dude, that's how it was for me. I used to watch Bob when I would watch Saturday morning cartoons, and Saturday morning cartoons for me would end between like 11 and noon. And then immediately right after that, Bob would come on. And I just remember being like, memorized and being like, oh, that's so unique and so cool, you know? And that's how I started it. All right. Hey, what's going on? Metal detecting. Indiana and Steve, how you doing there today? And Joseph, what's going on? Can you mimic Bob Ross's technique with acrylics? Yes, to a degree. We'll get to that in a moment. Ask that question again, Joseph, after we finish this review, because I feel like I'm leaving Lorraine hang on the edge. I feel bad. All right, so let's take a look here. Let's go back. So we talked about the sky and creating the smooth gradients. And if I'm assuming these are kind of, oops, we don't want that. I'm assuming these little sections here are clouds, okay? So when you take that, you can just grind those in with a filbert, angled shader, or fan brush, and just zag them in. And you can use a color that's either a foreground color like white or a background color like blue. Just make sure it's a different contrast, so that way these sections will stand out a little bit more. And you can fade them in and it'll be beautiful, okay? So let's talk about your mountain here. Your mountain is actually, you got two mountains here. So let's talk about this section right here, okay? Let's switch colors. I don't like blue. Let's talk about this section. This way it looks like you did something bad. I want to help you. I ask all the questions you want. It helps me if you put @WildCreates in front of it, just like Baby did in the top of the chat. That way I know you're talking to me and not somebody else in the channel, but feel free to talk to each other. That's what makes this community awesome. So this mountain right here in the back is too angular. Christina Angular. So you just went straight up and down. Even if something's in the background, you don't want to make your mountains triangles, okay? You want to have a little bit of bump. So have a little bit of a loose hand here. When you're using your filbert or your fan brush, go up and, you know, just wiggle down and go up and just like fade it out like that, you know? If it has a little more definition to it, even though it's very, very far in the background, you got to remember like wind, atmosphere, erosions and weathers and all these things. Some birds have turded down on here. Eat away at a mountain. Mountains aren't like perfect, you know, straight lines. Add a little bit of angle to them because it adds character into your painting. Just add a little bit of bump. You did a little bit of that here. However, you have a little bit of tiger claw going on. Look, we got straight angle, straight angle, straight angle, straight angle, straight angle, straight angle, straight angle. And I know the exact reason you're making this mistake. It's because your palette knife is straight. It's a straight angle. So how do we take away straight angles with our palette knife? Well, first of all, it all starts with a basic shape, okay? When you have a good template down, it makes everything else easier from there forward, okay? It's just like when you go on dating. When you go on a date, if they're not a good kisser, it's not gonna be a good relationship, all right? I'm talking from experience because many women have told me, not a good kisser, except my mom. Except my mom. Don't read too far into it. We'll just gloss over it. So, what you need to do is you're going to start your shape up from like, let's say here, we know we're going to make this section and we know we're going to make this section. So let's start with putting our palette knife down here, start shaking, going up and shaking and going up, and then bring it down. And let's say we had a little crack here and then fade out. Now let's continue this side, okay? Take our palette knife, let's go up. You know what? I'm just thinking this one's just going to fade out and across. So that way we cover up this mountain a little bit. This section right here, you can fade out hard because we know we're going to put these trees here. This section here, we know we can fade out hard because we know we're going to put trees here. You have to have a little bit of foresight to know where you got to take your mountain. But now that we've added these little bumps in here, we've got a lot more angles to play with. That's going to be fun for us. So now when we take this, we can cut down and across. We can cut down and across, cut down and across. And heck, maybe even cut down and across here. So now we've got our highlight section on this side, which we can just, you know, fill in. Fill in, fill in, fill in. And now we can take our shadow side. We can just swoop, swoop. Hey, maybe bring that in front. These two meet back here. Continue, continue, continue. Swoop, 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 swoop. And now you've got something that's easier for you that follows more of an angular thing rather than just going straight down, straight down, straight down. When you go in with your knife, don't be afraid to jiggle and wiggle a little bit, you know? And it's just something that comes in time with practice, Lorraine. I used to make this mistake all the time. But the biggest thing you want to think of is don't create tiger claws. Like, you know, when you go in and claw down, you want to add a few bumps. And you don't have to always go straight. You can go down, over, 45-degree angles, and that's going to add some bumps in different angles for you. It looks like you need help on paint break. So what I would recommend is when you get to this section right here, is once you put in the shape of your mountain, I want you to use whatever is your background base color for your mountain. I want you to make it 2 times darker. We're going to cheat till you feel more comfortable. Hey, what's up, Trini? How you doing tonight? We're going to cheat. And the reason we're going to cheat is because when you put on your base color here of your mountain, all this color here that's shaping it, okay? You're going to put it on, scrape it off as much as you can, pull it down with your 2-inch brush or 1-inch brush, whatever you feel comfortable with. Then I want you to take a blue paper towel or any paper towel you can and wipe off everything from here. Wait, that's still everything from here down. You can leave this little top peak and top peak here. And I want you to rub off as much as you can here, okay? All the really strong pigment will stain into the canvas, but now we're exposing the toothing of the canvas, okay? Now that you've exposed the toothing and you've taken your palette knife, it's going to come across and it's going to go grab, paint break, grab, paint break, grab, paint break, grab, paint break. And that's how you're going to make easy and cheater paint breaks. Just allow the weight of the knife to do most of the work. You have to put a little bit of pressure, but grab yourself a firm, dry paint and come down and it's going to go boom, break, boom, break, boom, break. And you're going to be amazed. And you're like, fuck, that was way easier. And then you only have to add like 1 or 2 swoop-a-doops and then you'll be good. But other than that, it's not too bad. You just got too many straight angles in here going for you. Yeah, I mean, you're right, Matt. He basically has a template that he follows, and it's just, it's usually a 3-point peak where each peak is a little bit off or skewed from another. It'll be like 1 high point, 1 midpoint, 1 low point, and he'll mix that up on the sides. But it is a template, and I mean, the easiest thing to do is just go look at any mountain outside to see how shapes work. And most mountains or shapes you're gonna do are gonna be in 3s because it's more pleasing to the eye. Hey, what's up, Amanda? How you doing there tonight? Steve, when you do the finger test with the liquid white, everything looks good, but when I start painting, still have liquid white coming off when I start painting the sky. So we just talked about this, Steve, or didn't, but I mentioned it. Use gray gesso. Gray gesso at the beginning, okay? So when you use gray gesso, you can look at it from the sides of your canvas, and you're gonna see reflections of light, okay? And what that does is it's going to show you if gray is showing through or if white is really opaque on the canvas, which means you have either put a little too little or you've put a little too much, which means you can go from those angles where the light reflects or refracts and work that side out more and push that around. So that way you've got an even distribution across your canvas. That's the best way to cheat. All right, so let's continue down. So you know what? I think you did a decent job right here, Lorraine, with your tree line, background tree line. These are beautiful. These are beautiful. And I even like what you put behind here. Look, you've got like this little bit of, I like using red. You got this little bit of like diffused, really far, I don't even know what you'd call it, like bush, flowers, whatever this like fictitious piece of land is behind these trees looks beautiful. Look how it adds the separation of definition between these colors. That's what makes it pop out. The only thing I would say is the land kind of goes like wonky a little bit. You got to think about how this land would continue off into the canvas. So I would probably, if I was going to build this myself, I would take these trees, because you just have a straight tree stop here. I would take these trees over and allow this foreground tree to cover on top of this. So that looks like nature is actually, finishing off, because there's no reason for this tree line just to stop. You could have sparse trees and then it, stops because maybe there's not enough water or sunshine in this area. But that's it. I would just continue these trees in this section and think about how it goes over here. But that's beautiful. You're also getting to the point where you're squishing your foreground down a little bit. Like if we take a look at this canvas, I would say 66% is all sky and mountains, and then you're left with this itty bitty little space down here. So we've got to learn to push your mountain up a little bit, so that way you have more canvas to play around with all the stuff that's not getting smushed. Now, it's not anything bad or anything wrong. I just notice for when you start to paint and learn, when you squish everything down, it makes it harder for you. Amanda and Simon, hello. And also, Jack. Hello, Jack. How are you doing there? Oh, I'm gonna misenunciate your name, and I'm sorry. I'm gonna go with Buad. Buad. I want to say like Buddha, but I know that's not right. So I would say learn to push your canvas up a little bit. I know it's tough, but learn, like that's why I always, one of the best tips I always give is put in a safety horizon line. So if this is your canvas here, grab a piece of tape and go bunk right there, and you'll just be like, okay, my horizon line stops here. So when I bring my mountain from up here, let's just say, I know to stop it right here because I can fade down right here, and then I have all this loose space here that'll create that white band, and then I can start building my trees from here, and then I've got all this extra canvas to work and play with. Plus, it's actually going to push the perspective of your mountain even further back, building more definition in it, okay? Hey, what's up, Kevin? How you doing there? And Jane, hello, hello, hello. How are you all doing today? Boo-ah. Old Irish for victory. Oh, nice. Boo-ah. Well, thank you for breaking it down for me phonetically. I love that. Makes it easier on an old man like myself. So let's finish here. So now that we move this up, it'll push everything else up, allowing for background, allowing for the foreground for you to work with. And that'll allow everything to have an easier time. Now, your trees, in all honesty, aren't bad. You got great bark, great shape. I would add just maybe some little more bumps as you go up as you get closer to the foreground, because that'll add more definition, as it should, because your eye's going to see a lot more. And your leaves aren't bad. You got to remember the perspective of your highlights, though. Your big old light source is right here. This big old bright, shiny thing right here is kicking this way and technically kicking this way. So you did a good job here, but you shouldn't have as many highlights on the left, okay? This side should be eliminated a little bit. This side should be eliminated a little bit. You did actually a fantastic job right here. Look how the highlights come off and fade. But these highlights, bright spots, should be more on this. Whoops, let's use the red. Should be more on this side here. And then should be fading on this side here. Which is tough, But when you get that, that's how you build shape that's building a focal point that's pushing into here. And it's something just to think about. Every time you put on a highlight, the first question you should ask yourself, well, two questions, is this the right color combination that's going to work? And two is, where should I apply my highlights that works with my focal point and light source within my painting? And overall, you did a great job. The other thing I would probably say you need help on is water lines and building of land. Your land is all curved, okay, except for this one right here. But look at these curved lines. Land is better built when you can take your palette knife or filbert or whatever you want and just build layers of straight lines just like this. So that way it'll add the curve in there naturally that you can fade in. When you put the curve in yourself, your painting just looks off. It looks like you forced it. It looks like you kind of like didn't know how to build it correctly. When you build it with straighter lines, you'll build these natural coves within your painting that it looks like water kind of just wrapped around and did things rather than adding curves. And plus, it'll allow you to even out your land. But, you know, this is beautiful. The biggest problem you have here is you got a big dry canvas down here at the bottom. Like, look at all this dryness. You got all these dry, patchy parts that really pulls away from the rest of the painting, which isn't bad. It just needs a little more liquid white. And then the only other bad section is you got these beautiful, beautiful detailed highlights right here. These are actually fantastic, Lorraine. You did a great job. You have a little problem of sticking, because I can tell you're pushing like these sections in here a little bit, which just all this is. If you've ever wondered why your paint's not sticking or why certain highlights look better, like, I truly believe, Lorraine, let's get my big ugly face out of here. These are beautiful. I love these. These are soft, beautiful highlights. I technically think these should have a little more texture on them because they're a little closer to us, but they look beautiful. But in comparison to these up here and these up here, you're not having enough sticking, which is really making them fade away and not stand out as much. So all you need to do is just add a little more paint, a little more thinner or a little more fatty medium, and then it'll create these little whip peaks that then when you take your paintbrush through, I gotta show my hand here. When you take your paintbrush through and you go through and you tap, there'll be little peaks hanging off of your paintbrush. They just go and tap, 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 and they'll stick there. And then when you get to your foreground, which this right here is your most foreground element, we have no detail. And that's what's really lacking in this painting. If you had a bunch of detail, it's going to push everything back, creating a forced perspective, which is really, really going to elevate this painting, okay? So at the very end, take all these colors that you got right here, these beautiful magnitude of colors like your Indians, your yellows, your cadmiums, and all that stuff, and put some really, really thick highlights right here. And that's really going to push your painting back and look awesome. All in all, Lorraine, this is a very good painting. And I can't remember if you told me what number painting this is. Is it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 20? Let me know. Whatever you did here, this is really, really good. And I would say, Joy, repetition in your brushstrokes is a big downfall for most people. And I still do this too. Because what happens is, I would say you get comfortable with what feels normal. I was going to say you get comfortable with what feels comfortable. I guess that would make sense. And you would just go like this, boom, boom, boom. You're like, oh, I'll do the same thing, boom, boom, boom. I do this a lot of times with my bushes, and I do this a lot of time with my clouds, believe it or not. All my clouds will have like a 3 bump. They'll go bump, bump, bump. And then for my highlight below it, I'll put bump, bump, bump. It's like a sideways letter E or number 3. And I really should go like bump, oh, come down and around, and then go over. So that way it looks like light shapes going this way. And for this one, I should go like maybe 1, 2, down 3, over 4, up 5, fade those in, build, and then put 2 on top of that. And it's tough because you get complacent because you feel comfortable with certain things. The only other critique I could probably give you on yours, Lorraine, is don't eliminate all of your blacks in here. You did a pretty decent job of leaving spacing for the most part, but remember to leave the pits of black, which is your background sap green and blue and blacks you're putting on here. You did a pretty decent job, and you can also throw in some like twig lines every now and then to make it look like twigs are coming out of here, either with a script liner brush or the back of your palette knife. But I think you did a fantastic job, I really dig how much creativity and elegance you put in this. This is a pretty much balanced painting. We just need to push things up and around a little bit. All right, I think Joseph, if he's still here, had a question. Take another bite of my bagel really quick. Yeah, I would say she did a decent job of not making all of her trees straight. In fact, if you look at it, let's get rid of my ugly face again. Look at this. You got 3 trees over here pretty straight, which most trees grow up towards the sun. But then the beautiful thing about this is, look, you got a slanted tree, which adds angles into the painting. And then these aren't fully straight. This one's slanted that way, and this one's slanted that way, creating angles in the painting, which gives it a lot of texture, which makes it awesome. And that's what you did a good job on. Oh, let me get my camera back so I don't mess that up. There we go. Great job. Oh, okay, Joseph, your question was on, if I remember correctly, can you do wet on wet with acrylics? Am I correct? Don't be scared. Everything that I see here, you're doing. I think somebody rang my doorbell. Hold on. I gotta go check my doorbell. Give me 1 second. I'll put music on. Nobody was there. I must be hearing things. I'm getting old, people. I'm getting old. What I was gonna say is, don't be scared to show your stuff. Everything we show here, I may tear it down at points. I may roast it a little bit. That's because I like to have fun with it. But also, I want to be straightforward with everyone. I don't want to pussyfoot you on a lot of things. I want to be like, this is what's good, this is what's bad, this is what we need improvement on. But you don't understand, my first like 50 paintings were absolute trash. Absolute trash. I love them. And I was like impressed. I was like, oh, that looks like a cloud. Oh, that looks like a mountain. That kind of looks like a tree. But they were bad. And when I see you people when I see the community of all you awesome people submit your artwork to me, my first thought is like, fuck, dude, how are they painting so much better than me for their first year or first like 25 paintings? Like, it's insane. You guys are way, way better than I ever was when I first started out. The other big thing is you got to stick with it. When you start painting at least once a week, you really see strong improvements. I'm getting your question here, Joseph. Just wanted to finish my bagel bite real quick. Much better. Okay, cool, Joseph. All right, so for your question, I don't know if I have it here anymore. So the question was, can you do wet on wet with acrylics? And the answer is kinda. All right. I've done a couple of videos and a couple of tests because I have a buddy, Tally. He's an amazing artist that loves wet on wet but works in acrylics. And he loves the way they blend naturally on the canvas and the layers and the colors you can create while you're painting. But the problem you run into is acrylic is essentially liquid plastic that's designed to start drying the second you apply it onto your canvas for two reasons. One, air is hitting it, so it's starting to cure and dry. And number two is your canvas starts to soak up the loose water-based medium that's in it. So when it starts pulling that water out, it's leaving the pigment and it's starting to dry even faster. So you got the two combinations working against you. All right. So generally when you have to do acrylics, you work in sections. Okay. And you add layers and you add dry layers on top of dry layers and top of dry layers and so forth and so forth. So to counteract this, we have to have something that has a slower or longer drying time to it. So to do this, you need to, one, have your own liquid white medium, which I show you how to do, Joseph, in one of my videos. If you get the chance after this, watch me now because I'm handsome, is type in on my channel, liquid white recipe. And one of theirs, in there will be 2 videos about how to make an acrylic liquid white. 3 of them are okay, and there's one ultimate one. You want to use that. Then I will only recommend golden open acrylics. Any golden open color has a slower drying time to it. Now, instead of drying in like 10 to 15 minutes, these dry in like 30 to 45 minutes. So it's not like you get a long time like oils, but you get longer. Then to make it even longer, you can use the other mediums from the video I just mentioned into those golden open acrylics, and you get something that's like a 45-minute to like an hour and a half drying time, depending on how much paint you put down. Okay. But every little step allows you to get longer drying time. So when you work on a canvas, you got to apply multiple layers of gesso so the canvas doesn't act like a sponge. Then you got to use the correct medium on top of that gesso so that way it can have a nice little slip coat on top of that. Then you got to use golden open acrylics so that way the drying time is already manufactured to be slower, so that way longer working time. Then you can introduce other mediums into that golden so that way it extends it even further. And that's how you kind of can do wet on wet. Now, will you be able to do a full Bob Ross canvas like you normally see him do in a tutorial? If you paint like a fucking speed demon, then yeah, within 30 minutes you can do it. You're gonna go through a ton of paint with acrylic, but it's possible. But I always recommend working in sections. So if you know you're gonna do sky, paint out the gradient in your sky. If you know you're gonna add clouds, do all your clouds for the next part, like as in sections. Like so, sky, gradient, essentially dry, then clouds. Work them all in, then dry, then mountain, then dry. You know, that's just kind of how it has to go. You have to work in sections. You can't do your sky and ocean strokes at the same time like you see Bob creating that like sheen. Because by the time you're done doing your pulling and your strokes at the bottom, your top's already kind of like worked its way to be on the drier side, so you can't go back and cross stroke and blend to what you want. You got to work in just certain elements and certain assets when it comes to acrylics in this style. Hopefully that made sense. And if you want to learn more about gold and open acrylics, I'll be more than happy to do a video on it. I need to. I've worked with them multiple times. Which one of my paintings did you choose, the first or the second? I haven't chosen just yet, but I will. I will. Let's get rid of this Lorraine painting. Lorraine, also, by the way, thank you for allowing me and the community to look at your art and review it. That's what makes it so much fun. Can you do it with student grade acrylics? You'd have to buy mediums, because student grade, the only real difference, I'm not to get too in depth into it, the biggest difference between student grade, artist grade, and professional grade is the amounts and ratios between pigment and binding material. Okay, the cheaper you go, the less pigment, which is essentially the saturation of color that's in it. All right. So normally if you wanted to get, like, let's say a certain vibrancy of a color, using a student grade paint might take 2 to 4 or even 10 times that to get to that color, whereas using a professional paint may only take 1 to get to that color, you know, as in like 1 dollop of color, let's say. But you can do a lot of things with student grade paint. A lot of people shit on it, and they shouldn't, you know. One of the videos I'm going to do is I bought like one of the cheapest oil kits I could from Michaels, and I'm going to show you how to paint exactly the same style with that. How do you get paint break for mountains with acrylics? So Jack, this one's a very tough one. It's a great question because it's so different. And when you watch other artists do it, they don't really use a palette knife when it comes to acrylic paint. It's too non-firm and too wet. So what a lot of artists will do is they'll take an angled shader, because it gives you that like 45-degree cut across your 45-degree cut, and they'll put paint on the tips right here, and they'll go in and just like literally tap in the paint break. You'll see this a lot from Paint with Kevin and Andrew Tischler. They don't do the palette knife cut. They just like tap it in and create the paint break, so which is kind of easy to do. You just tap, tap, tap as you go down and across. But if you wanted to do it with a palette knife, the only way that I've been somewhat successful with it is if you go back and watch one of my videos, I show you how to cheat and put on paint breaks with oil, but it works with an acrylic, is rather than come down, my hand here is the palette knife, by the way, rather than come down with the face of the palette knife like that, trying to create a swoop motion, I would recommend turning the palette knife like 30 degrees and using a straight edge and slice and slice and slice. What this allows is you're exposing less of the blade, and it's not going to smush the paint on with acrylics. You're actually going to form the break by allowing a slice and grab certain sections. So that way you can, each slice you do will be a mild highlight edge of the snow. So it's going to take more strokes, obviously, but you can do that so it goes break, 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 break. So every slice is going to be the break rather than trying to make it in one fluid motion. What I recommend is if you ever have a spare piece of cardboard, perhaps you bought something from Amazon, wipe it off, cut off a sheet, put it up on your easel or wherever you can paint flat on, and gesso it really quick, as gesso will mimic the canvas material, and just practice what I'm talking about. So that way you can be like, oh, I kind of get it. You slice rather than kind of like swoop and break, swoop and break, swoop and break. You got to go boop, 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 boop. And that's the only way I've been able to do it with a palette knife and acrylic. Dude, I love Whitesnake. Here I go again on my own, going down the only road I've ever known. I bet you didn't know I could hit notes that high. Tony, what are the difference in canvas grades? I've actually done videos on this, but to break it down in simplistic terms, because I would love it if you watch those videos, because they do go a little more in depth on it, is when you go from like level 1 to level 3, or you go from what's considered like basic to professional, or trying to think of another term that other manufacturers use, A to C, is the type of wood framing that goes around it. So the outer framing, those will change from the grades as you go up. which basically means wood will be thicker, which means it can be longer lasting for archival uses or professional uses. The way that it is wrapped or the way that it is stapled will change. Staples are an old technique. They still work perfectly fine, but as you go up in price, you'll see that canvases are wrapped under the bezeling of the wood and then glued, then stapled to hold it in, where cheaper canvases will sometimes come across and there might just be a few industrial staples that hold it, which means over time that canvas material will loosen and come, and that's why you get those saggy, baggy canvases sometimes, because it's had time to stretch over time. Gesso coatings on top of it. Sometimes it'll let you know the millimeter of the thickness of cotton duck. Cotton duck is the canvas material, the actual spot you paint on. And toothing, generally toothing. So it can go either way depending on the style of professional hire canvas. Sometimes professional canvas will have less toothing for certain artists, and sometimes more expensive canvas will have more toothing. Most average canvases will be called what's known as medium rough, which means it has toothing. This is hard to explain on like a canvas. Let's say the way my hand is exposed right now, this would be ultimate toothing. This would be full toothing. If medium rough would mean there'd be less toothing, which means there'd be like a little bit of filler, so only these little nubs are sticking out. And then as you got to a smooth canvas, it'd be like up here where there's like barely any nubs sticking out, you know? That's the best way I can describe it. I need an Alton Brown visualization, you know? Yeah, sweetest stutter right there because I'm so excited to talk to Jack. Jack, it's your painting, your approach, your style. If you want to do things with a palette knife, it gives it a certain appeal, a certain je ne sais quoi, if you will, that when you look at it, you go, oh, this is a different type of technique. There's no one right way to do certain things. It may take practice to get a certain approach down, but it doesn't mean you can't use a palette knife. But most painters using acrylic, I would tell you, use a brush. I love being silly. I gotta have fun. Oh, cool. Thank you, Pedro. Well, we could probably get Pedro's first because Pedro is a member now. So we can get that rolling. So let me just catch up in chat here really quick. I love talking to you guys. Thank you guys so much for being here today. It makes it so much more fun. I love that you're active. I love the questions. I love helping you out. I'm loving the art that you guys are doing. Hey, what's up, Aces? How you doing there? No, you didn't miss it. And Munchmaster Meow used to watch me on Twitch. Don't worry, I'm going to be back on Twitch on either Sunday or Monday, actually. I got to start streaming there some art so that way I can get into the stream thingamabobber. Yes, thank you for answering the question, Indiana, for Amanda. Yeah, Twitter or Instagram. By the way, thank you guys. I never got a chance to say thank you for all the new follows on Instagram and Twitter. If you can, I would appreciate if you can continue that roll going. If you like what you see here or my videos and you want to help me out in any way, following on Twitter and Instagram helps a ton. Plus, obviously, my YouTube channel. And if you find the videos helpful or these streams helpful, you can always send super stickers or super chats or become a member. I prefer you become a member because then that way I can give you some cool perks. Any tips for non-snowy mountains that are your mid-ground? Yeah, I could give tips, but let me ask you, what do you think you're failing on for your mid-ground mountains? And then maybe I can tailor the question a little bit more towards you, because I wouldn't know how to answer that within just a few moments. I'm glad, Matt. I'm glad I could be informative. What balance would you recommend between trying new things in paintings and refining what you have done? Keeping painting mountains and lakes, trying waves. This is a fantastic question. So here's the way I like to do it. And I'm going to use my YouTube as an example. So when I do videos, I try to, if I can, if time allows, I have a normal life, obviously. I mean, don't just live in the lap of luxury. I got to go out on dates and get rejected. Of course, I got to have a normal life. But when time allows, I like to try to do 2 videos a week. I used to do it more often, like a couple months ago than I do now, but I'm trying to make my videos a little more. A lot of the videos I've done recently have taken more of my time, like the top 10. Like, you guys, if you haven't seen the top 10 hardest Bob Ross, by the way, if you watch it this morning, I'd be curious to know, anybody in the chat, which one did you actually think was the hardest out of the list, or which one do you think's hardest overall? But that's a little tease. However, when I was making 2 videos a week, I would try to make one that I think would resonate with you guys more and with what the community is. So something that I would say, Rob, is something more basic, practicing and honing my own skills on my own channel. Then I would try to do a video that was a little more experimental, something that might grab your guys' eye in a new direction or open me up to a different type of people coming in. And for example, I like to use those, is that right there, my acrylic pours. Now you'll notice I love doing acrylic pours. It's one of my passions. It's one of my fun things because I love doing abstract fun art. I love when I make these, I blast my tunes so hard. I drink my beer and I drink my whiskey and I just have fun splashing colors. Legitimately, that's what I'm doing. Just splashing colors and having fun. But when I make a video on something like this, I don't get many views. I get like maybe like 100 to 500 views for the entirety of the life of that video. And that's okay. It sucks because I put a lot of time and effort into it. But I know most people aren't expecting that type of kind of content from me. So it's kind of the same thing with painting. You got to do, sometimes you have to work on the things that are honing your skills and that you can practice and nail the basics, so that allows you to experiment for another piece and have fun and try and fail and learn from those tries and fails. So my balance in my life is 50-50. That way you do things to hone your skills, but also some things that allows you to try something to keep you happy. Because the problem is, Rob, is I do not want any artist out there ever to feel the one thing that's going to bring you down, and that's called burnout. When you feel like you're doing art because it's work, it's no longer fun, which is why you have to mix it up and have a little bit of fun. It's like spice in the bedroom. You can't have love making the same old way, same old way, same old. I don't even know what my hand is doing. As you can tell, Ryan has not been with a woman in days, weeks, months, years, decades. You got to add a little spice, a little bit of flavor, try something new. You know, maybe with a real person this time. You never know. You got to spice it up. You got to keep things interesting. And the ways to do that is get inspired, have an Instagram account, follow some other YouTube artists, follow some Instagram artists, see what they're doing. Come into this community here and we'll jam out and we'll talk. The newest thing that I'm working on, I just did gold leaf, or copper leaf technically, in the background, which you can kind of see. I don't know if this reflects in different ways. Don't fall, don't fall. That's a sold painting. Can't damage it. You got to try new things, you know? And that's what makes art fun. That's what makes art fun. Joining art communities is also a good thing too, because you can challenge other people and they challenge you. I'm glad it could be super informative. Hey, what's up, David? How you doing there today, bud? And Daniela. Oh, I used to have a crush on a girl named Daniela. True story. Middle school. Oh, no problem, Rob. That was a good question. That's a very good question. And it's something, by the way, Rob, that's something I don't know how old you are. That's something you're going to have for the rest of your life. You're like, how do I keep things interesting? How do I find a balance? How do I find a balance in art in life? How do I find a balance between work and art? How do I find a balance between blank and blank? That's something you're always going to come across. How do you create details in smaller, non-snowy mountains, Irish mountains, that are more grassy? Can't figure out how to create detail. I've been to Ireland. I don't remember many mountains. Went to Dublin, down to Kinsale, and Cork. Don't remember many mountains, but I remember, I guess those could be considered mountains. I would say more foothills. That's a great question. I'm gonna have to punt a little bit on this question. I would say we don't have to create detail, but I would say you might benefit from creating the illusion of detail. And so what I would say by that is, when you're creating your mountain shapes that are non-snowy, but non-snowy mountains will have details because they're rock formations, which means light and sun hits it differently. So let's say, for instance, I'm just walking by my window. I don't like, crazy kids, get off my lawn. what you would want to do, like, let's say we're going to create a mountain. Do I have one? I don't. I'll find an example for you later. Is when you create like a mountain, you can put multitude of colors within that mountain that just look like rock formations. So actually, you know what? Let's take Lorraine's example here. So just because this isn't a normal mountain, you could consider this snow, you know, the white highlights, but it's not necessarily true. So let's say we were going to throw a mountain up here that was just like this. These colors that you're going to put in here, you could put multitude of colors. So let's say if your mountain was a pure Van Dyke brown. So what I would say for the highlight color is there's going to be in Southern California here, we don't have like mountains. We do a little bit inland a little bit, but we have like really high rock formations that are made out of like dirt and stalactite and rock and all this slate and shale technically. And it's just different colors of browns, yellows, oranges that get beat on by the California sun. And so what you'd want to do is make up a combination of those colors that you can marbleize into your paint and cut across and put in here. And when you take that and you come across, it's going to create what looks like a bunch of different rocks. And you just add them in ever so slightly. You don't have to do full strokes that look like snow. You just add little cuts like that. Because depending on how far back in the background it is, you could like blend it out and it's just going to have these different multitude of colors. Then when you take something like your grass color, let's switch it up here. You can take your grass color and you can start feeding it up your mountain just like this. And you can tap it out and blend these. So it looks like your foothill grasslands are kind of growing up, but to a certain point, there's the oxygen and water's not getting here. So it's going to stop. And then you've got these little rock peaks coming out. So I would say just creating the illusion of detail would probably benefit you the most. What do you put on the canvas first before painting? I technically, Daniela, put gesso. Might be a few splashes of whiskey after I try to get some courage, but after that, it's gesso. How do you determine the price of your paintings? Tony, this is a great question. I eventually will make a video on that, but let me get my next painting grabbed up here. I have Dan and I have Baby. Was anybody who's a member that wants me to do theirs? Because I got to get those ones first, because that's the perk I give. Excuse me. I don't want a mountain in the desert with lush greens. So if I do brown mountains, what color browns do I need for it to look right? So here's the easiest way to answer it, Baby. If you're using a reference photo, if you have the ability to print it out, you can print it out, have it next to your paint palette, and you can see what color mixture you're going to need to reference what that is. That's what Tally does a lot. Now, if you can't print it out, you can grab an iPad or your phone. I don't know where my phone's at. And you can grab it, have the reference up there, and it's going to sound stupid, but it works. You can hold your color up on your paintbrush or on your palette knife and go, oh, these are the colors that kind of come close to it. And you make your gradients as you need to go across. You'll see a lot of professional artists or YouTube artists, they'll do like a downward camera angle of their artwork, like taped down on a table, and then their glass palette to the side. And you'll notice they'll have all their colors going straight down in a line, and then they'll take those colors off and they'll move them to the side, and they'll create their colors they need for mountains or like skin tones. So that way they all have them ready to go. And they're just going to be variations of like the same peaches or browns or burnt umbers and things like that. So when you have all your colors listed out, you know how to build your details of your brown mountains that have different color gradients within it. Oh, let me scroll down. Hold on. I try to be funny, Lorraine. Okay, if I miss somebody that wanted me to review theirs that's a member, please let me know. I know you're not a member yet. I think Dan was, but I don't know if Dan's still here. But we could probably nail his, because his was pretty basic. So, which is good. Oh, Rob, thank you for the light touch. Thank you for touching me. I appreciate it. Oh, wait, why is this one so small? I guess, is that as big as the picture gets? Oh, it's Pedro. Pedro. Okay, Pedro, I'm going to grab you next. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I knew it was somebody. Thank you so much, Rob, for becoming a member, man. I do truly appreciate the support. Thank you all for the support that you all give me. So before I do the review on this one, I want to answer the question of whoever asked, oh, how do you determine the price of your paintings? So I don't want to go too in depth on this because this is a big, big question. And I have a lot of thoughts. And in full disclosure, love making you wait. Love making you wait. I'm such a tease. In full disclosure, I have probably sold somewhere in the vicinity of 100 to 200 paintings. And that doesn't mean I'm like rich or anything like that. It's just I've sold paintings for $15. And I think to date, I think the most expensive painting I've ever sold is $1,000. And everything in between. I've sold one piece of artwork to one person, and I've sold 5 pieces of artwork to one person. So I know a little bit about pricing art correctly. And the easiest way to answer this question without going too in depth, because this would make a fantastic video, is if you're a brand new artist and you don't have a price structure built for what your art is worth or what you think it's worth, don't overthink it. At the bare minimum, you should always charge the retail cost it took to produce the art, not your hours. Let me repeat that. You should always charge the retail, that's the key word there, retail price it cost to produce the art. What do I mean by that? I only buy canvases. I only buy paint. I only buy gesso, and I only buy mediums when they're on sale. And when they go on sale, I buy bulk. Just saves me money in the long run. Now, I'm fortunate enough to be able to afford those at those times. But if I got a commission and I had to buy that canvas, I bought this canvas probably for like 40, let's just say easy math, $50. But to buy that canvas normally it would be $150. So I'm going to charge $150 for it, okay? Plus the paint, let's just round up. Let's just say everything cost to make that art was $200. I'm going to charge $200. Now, if that was a small canvas that only cost me $12, I'm going to charge $12 because my time as a beginning artist isn't really worth anything just yet. I'm still establishing myself and I'm still working out the kinks. And that's how a lot of you are. I know if you're coming out of school, coming out of college, been working on your craft for years, don't pay attention to this just yet. There's another section to it. But charge retail cost, because if you ever have to go back out and buy it and it's not on sale, you're going to get screwed. But the whole point of doing art in the beginning is just to make enough money so you can make more art to work on your skills. Then sell that next piece for just a little bit more money so that way you can work on the next piece of artwork to refine your skills. And keep it going and keep it going until you get a spot you feel comfortable with, okay? Then you factor in your worth per hour it took to produce a piece of artwork. And that one is a personal one. It could be $10 per hour. Could be $100 per hour. Could be $1,000 per hour. I looked the other day just because I was curious because I'm working on my own website for art right now so that way I can start selling pieces to you all. By the way, would any of you ever be interested in buying an artwork from me? I would love to know. I went to a YouTuber's website, not going to say his name. I watch him all the time, very educational. He's a professional teacher and he charges for one commission $65,000. And I almost shit myself. It's like, that's a fuck ton of money. And he had on there, not accepting commissions, sold out right now, which means he's filled up the entire calendar year, which is impressive. So everybody's worth comes in at different price points. It's insane. So when you start pricing your work, think about retail cost, then factor in what you think your time is worth on it. When I work on something fun for me, it's not worth anything of my time because I'm having fun doing it. I would like just to get my materials back. If I'm working on something that's an artwork piece Hey, sometimes I want $75. Sometimes I want 150. Sometimes I want 250. Sometimes I want 40 bucks. It just really, really changes. But the reason I'm being a little more vague is because I really want to make a video on this because I have a lot of in-depth information that I want to go on. And one of the biggest price points that will define what your art is worth is your market. Like, I told this story last time I was on. I went to a farmer's market slash like art show thingy outside. I don't know what you'd call that. Like an art walk, I guess. And I was like, oh man, dude, this is gonna be awesome. I can sell my artwork because all these ritzy, ditzy, hoity-toity people are gonna be here coming precisely to look at art. So obviously I'll sell stuff. And I was selling things I think for like 150 to 250 for like 16 by 20 pieces of landscape and some acrylic flows. And I was like, these are all good price points for where I'm at. And I only sold one. Only sold one. Because the market there wasn't really there to buy. Just look and drink wine and move on. And it's like, if I probably would have priced things lower, people would have been impressed. Like, oh my God, I can buy stuff right here. And I would have been fine selling things for like 20% lower if I would have sold 20% more. So it's like, that's where things come into play. You know, you gotta read your market, you gotta read your environment, you gotta read your demographic. When things are online, you can be hard and fast by your prices. Hey, what's up? Oh, did I miss someone? No. Oh, David, Aces, Pedro. I thought somebody said they came back. Oh, KR. Howdy, everyone. What's up, KR? And oh my gosh, how do you say your last name? Bab-Iliani? Oh my God, it's gonna be tough. Jose? They also have to pay for... Yeah, see, but a lot of people don't have 50 years of experience. When you get 50 years of experience, then they can do it. Or then, yes, you can charge for it. It's tough. It's tough. One of the best ways to figure out... This is a great great little hack. If you have friends or family, just ask them. They'll be brutally honest. And ask them to be brutally honest. I have... I don't have any artwork in here at the moment. Like, ask your friends to go, how much did you pay for this? And I've looked at some of my friends' artwork, who I love, by the way, and I go, 20 bucks. Straight up. And I know that's under what they're thinking, but I just go, it's just worth 20 bucks to me. It's like, it's a piece that would go in my bathroom. I'm not going to see much. It's a small, like, 8 by 12, and that's just what it is, 20 bucks. It's a bathroom art piece. I'm not demoralizing. I'm not diminishing it. I'm not undercutting you and what your talents are. It's just, I think that's what it's worth. And then I'll look at another piece of artwork and I go, dude, that's like $500, $1,000. And they're like, well, I was thinking about selling it for like 60 bucks. And I'm like, you're an idiot. It's just, your friends will give you a price point and then you can take the average of that and work with it. Man. How long should be painting before you enter in contests? Whenever you want. You should enter contests right off the bat. One of the best things you can do if you ever have like county fairs in your area, entering the county fair art contest, school contest, college contest, go for it. You got nothing to lose. It's like when you're going to go out on a date, or if you're asking a girl or a guy out on a date, just go for it. The worst thing they can say is no, and you go, all right, cool. It's like if they say no, you didn't make it, you're like, all right, cool, whatever. Okay, let's go to the artwork here. This is Dan's. This is Dan's. You can tell I'm screaming through these reviews here. You can't really buy anything from the US because when it gets to my country, we hold it until I have to send it to the importer paper and holding up. What country do you live in, Dan? I forget. I think you've told me before. You're so happy to hear that I entered and then I started a painting class and the teacher fussed at me? Nah, screw it. It's your dreams, your life. You do what you want, baby. Just don't do anything to harm your life and then everything else is cool with me. So this is Dan's. Now this isn't the highest quality res photo. For some reason, like, this is the biggest export it had of it, but it's okay. This is still, we also get the general idea of it. So this is perfect. So for this, oh, in Romania. Oh, I believe you told me that. That's awesome. Love to go to Romania one of these days. All right. So I actually am a huge fan of simplistic paintings. Minimalistic is fun and a great way to learn. And sometimes minimalistic is the most eye-catching piece, you know? Sometimes your painting can have so much going on in it that it loses its flow and feel. But this is nice. I like the simplicity of it. No, since it's a low res photo, I can only critique it so much, but I actually really like this. So one thing I like is you have a good, let's small up the brush here. Let's switch this back to red. Oops, that's not red. Oh, switch this to red. Put the opacity back up here real quick. One thing I like is your light source and shadow side are opposite of each other. I like that. So that's going to create depth. Over here, we got our light source. And over here, we've got our shadowish side, which is good. So you've pushed your colors and intensity this way, which you're doing. Look how much lighter it is over here versus how much darker it is over here. You've got a good fading of a one-sided vignette. So what I would probably do is I'd darken it up a little bit, add a little more color here, and then you can slowly just blend it out from this corner with some cross strokes. And I'd probably stop it like right around here and then pull a 2-inch brush in this general direction. So that way it just adds a little more color and contrast, which is going to allow your clouds that you've built right here to stand out just a tiny bit more. And that's it. But I love the color gradient. Look how you even got the little white band going here, which is looking good. So great job, Dan. I sent you one I did a year ago, episode 23. However, I want to repaint it and see how it improved. Okay, cool. Remind me at the end of this, Dave, when we can do yours. I got to do Jose's too, or Pedro's. You won 9th grade Augusta art competition, then game on. Hell yeah. It's so cool. I've never won, or not true. I never won, but was pulled for a top 20. There was no winners. They just pulled top 20, and I made top 20. It wasn't a great art piece, but I was still proud. It's awesome. So your sky and clouds are looking pretty good. It's a little hard because this looks like it has the wrong color. I know you guys can't see too much, but this section right here, I don't get why this color is really here. If you're going to have a color that reflects your mountains or storminess, it needs to be in the other clouds too, just ever so slightly. You're not going to have just one little solo cloud. So what I'd probably do is I would build a base with these colors and then do highlights on top of them. But other than that, these are good. Like I love the different differentials, there we go, in the clouds that are creating separation. And you got a nice little white band, like we said, prior to the safety line. The only critique I would really give here is I like your background mountains and how they come up. Like you've got some nice bumps and fades, which these are so far back that you did a good job of fading these out. However, when it comes to right here, you didn't fade it correctly. So remember to pull it all the way across your canvas. Even if it comes out streaky, there's going to be enough light going in this general direction where some of it will scatter and poke through. So pulling it all the way across will help create that illusion, okay? You can do the same thing with this mountain right here, okay? You can pull it all the way across because we're going to build on top of it. You don't have to put a lot of paint because when we put this land here, it's going to cover it up. But pulling it all the way across is going to help create the layer illusion that we're trying to do, okay? This is a very peaceful painting. The other thing I would try to accomplish is this mountain right here is in front of this mountain here. However, one of your biggest darkest streaks is here, which is almost the same darkest streak here. This mountain has to be faded out way more than this mountain. And to do that, the easiest thing to do is just take a little more of this gray color and just put it at the top here. Put it at the top here and put it at the top. Then grab your 2-inch or 1-inch brush and pull down. And that's going to create the gradient effect of depth and texture, very soft texture, because this is a far back mountain, that you can pull down and across. So that way when you take your 2-inch brush and go like that, it's going to help create these shapes and whatnot. If you look at my 3-minute painting that I did with the mountains, the purple banding one, you'll see I just take literally like my an angled shader and a 1-inch brush, and I just pull down. And I'm just pulling paint from the top of that ridge down, and that's it. And that's how you're going to get these beautiful shapes, okay? Hey, Angie, how you doing there today? How's it going on with you? Okie dokie, Finoki. So the other issue you have is we need to create that white band on the base of your mountain. The reason we can do that is we're going to help push back the mountain by allowing this painted foothill grassy knoll layer come up a little higher. So that way we can take it across like that. okay? And that's going to push the rest of the mountain scene back, but it's also going to easily stick. The biggest problem you have in this painting is this foothill, this foothill, this foothill, this foothill. This one's actually fine, and this one's okay. These are on, well, let's do this different color. These are on different planes, but they're the same exact color, okay? If we shifted this to grayscale, I can't go too far in before it grids out. Look at this. Like, there's barely differences in the painting for this midground to foreground. Like, look at this. Coming down and across is the exact same as this coming down and across, is the exact same as this coming down and across, and is almost similar to these right here. So we haven't built enough depth through contrast and saturation. This is very easy to correct. Very easy to correct. So I'm going to let you in on how we correct it. Because that's my job. So, Dan, when you do this, if you know you're going to create 3 planes, technically this is like 2 planes. Let's make it easy. So we got 1 plane here, and we got 1 plane technically here, okay? So we're going to make 2 values of green. So take a phthalo blue and a sap green. Mix those together. Make enough of that, okay? Then we're going to take half of that combination and scoop it out and put it on the other side of our... I get confused where my hands are. Here, actually, we'll just do this. Makes it way easier. I got a bigger camera. Oh, wrong one. So we're going to take our phthalo blue and sap green. Mix those together. Then we're going to scoop half of that out and move it over to the side. Then we're going to take some cad yellow and introduce it to that scoop one and mix it up. So now we've got a light greenish color here and a dark greenish color over here. For our light green, that's what we're going to put for this layer in the background. This layer right here, we're going to tap in with that light green, and then we can fade it down into this little ridge here. Then we could take some cad yellow with a little bit of sap green in it, tiny bit of sap green. What that's going to do, it's going to knock down the value, and then we can tap in some highlights here to shape our land, okay? Then we can take that darker sap green, blue-green color, and we can use that to go here. So what that does, we're physically going to do this with the color. So let's just say, I know this isn't the best color. Don't judge me, please. Don't judge me. We're doing this so we're going to take this green like that, and then we're going to take this green like that and build shape. And that's it. So by the value of it, we've already increased your plane density and plane depthness, if you will, by using these contrasting colors that are fading everything back and across, okay? And that's a simple technique. You just needed 2 greens. I've done this mistake. I already know it vividly. I've known it vividly because I've made this mistake multiple times. You tried to get away using the same exact green on your palette for your planes. And you can see how it doesn't ruin your painting, it just doesn't add as much to your painting. And I make this mistake all the time. You're like, oh, I don't want to waste paint. Oh, it's so expensive and all that. When all you need to do is take your green color and add a little darker. You can even add black if you wanted to. Then for your foreground, wrong paintbrush. There we go. Then for your foreground highlights, you can use like full cad yellow mixed with probably just a few spritz of like bright red or alizarin. So that way you're going to get some orange and peachy colors that come in. Keep it mixed differently on the palette, like tap, 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 tap. Go back and forth between your colors. So that way it looks like little flower. Oops, I don't like, give me my green. Or my red. That way it looks like you're gonna get like these little like flowers coming up in here. It's gonna look beautiful and coming across, okay? And then you can use that same dark green color to build your tree over here. Your tree shape actually doesn't look that bad. It just everything for this painting right here, like we said, is around the same value. And that's what's kind of the biggest negative to this. And a lot of people don't see this. And in fact, I make this mistake sometimes on my paintings. It's okay to have colors that are similar, but they still have to have transitions in their luminosity, which is more of a Photoshop term. But what that means is they have to have shifts. If everything's the same scale, it looks like a flat painting. And as an artist, your job is to make a 2D image that, by the laws of physics, is going to remain 2D, look 3D on a 2D platform. And you have to have those shifting tones and shifting contrasts and shifting saturations to a degree to make it look like it's got that depth going on in there, okay? And that is one of the most difficult things you will ever have to do as a professional artist or a growing artist. I struggle with that all of the time. You know why? Because you go into a brain fart mode and you're like, oh man, there's not enough contrast. Jose, which is the hardest Bob Ross tutorial? If today's video, if you're a subscriber on my YouTube channel, which I'm sure you probably are because that's how you found me, today's video is the top 10 hardest Bob Ross paintings. So you can watch that and see what I actually said. A little hooker green added to the green works perfectly for planes as well. Well, there you go. See, Angie knows what she's talking about. To this day, you have a gray value card on your easel? Hold on. I don't have an artist one. So this is a gray card that I use it for video work. So this value right here, where my finger is, the gray one, that's 18% gray. So that's the closest value to skin, or, well, Caucasian. It's going to be like white. I am white. White skin for people, and then it goes up from values here. So it's like white, 18%, 30, 60, 75, and then black, you know? So that's what a grayscale card is, and that's how you find out what's the differences. But this is actually a perfect example. I'm going to hold this closer to you guys. See how the tone, it's the same color, just different intensities of that color. So from white to black and all the grays in between. This is how you build depth in your painting. And these technically could be different colors if they were like all versions of red, you know, or all versions of blue. A great example of this would be, watch that Shades of Gray painting from Bob Ross, where he paints with only gray. And that's how you build depth and contrast, because he's only using one color. So you got to figure out ways to build depth in a painting properly. Whew, that was a big one. That was a good one, though, but that was a nice, fun, simplistic painting. All right, Pedro. Pedro, are you still here, bro? I forget what Pedro sent it to me on. Oh, no, I found it. Found Pedro. You're up next, buddy, and I'm excited. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you're liking these, let me know in the comment below. How about you type me the word, what's a fun word? Apple. If you're liking this type of live streams and you want me to do more of them, type the word Apple. I don't know why, but Apple seems to work. Thoughts on the Bob Ross blender brush? I've done a video on that too. It's the most overrated brush. I actually think it only comes in clutch for a few things. If you have multiple layers on your clouds, it's good because it's super soft. If you have certain elements in water that you just gingerly need to come across, it's clutch. For everything else, it's a paperweight. Oh, good. We got a couple of apples there. Thank you. Glad you guys are liking this. I think it's time I dig sexually into my banana. I'm about to get so many donations for eating a banana. Bump. Ba-da-da-da. Chicka bow wow. How many of you ever seen a man deep throat a banana on a live stream? I'm sorry, I'm so immature. I can't help myself, and I'm an idiot. Ugh. Sexy. Alright, Pedro is still here. Fuck yeah. Alright, Pedro, let me pop yours open over here. I get so hungry when I'm with you guys. All I had today was that bagel. I tried waking up. Hey, what's up, Lazen? Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. And Romero, how you doing there, buddy? As try as I might, I try to wake up early and have breakfast every morning, but I never seem to. Oh, thank you, Matt, for the $2 super chat. I appreciate it, bro. All the apples and bananas. Oh, and Rob, thank you for the $1 super chat, man. Or stickers. That one a sticker. I get confused on which is which now. Thank you guys for the super chat. I appreciate it. Wait, you're telling me, Angie, this doesn't get you off? How you guys do banana? Aw. So bad. My buddy Tristan loves reading Reddit. And he was telling me, he was like, we're all eating bananas wrong. So I guess this one, what do you call it? A person who observes, zoologist. A person who is observing gorillas and monkeys, other than that, what was that girl that did it in that documentary, like Anne Goodall or whatever her name was? So we all open bananas from, I guess what we'd call this, the stem technically. This is the part that would hang off the bushel off the tree. But he was saying monkeys open, or primates technically, I guess, open bananas the other way. They open it this way, and he said all monkeys pop the base. Jane Goodall. That's what I thought it was. What did I say? Did I say Jane Goodall? I think I was going to say Annie Leibovitz, but that's like a film critic / like comedian, writer for like the New York Times. You're supposed to pop the part of this banana, which does like smash the tip, so ladies don't do that. Oh, thank you, Angie, for the... Apparently the trick to making money on YouTube is eating bananas and deep-throating them. I'm super multi-talented. Would you like to see me do it without my hands? You pop, and apparently it like pops this cap off and down, and then you can peel and eat the banana that way. And I was like, no shit. And so we tried it at work one day, and it was like popping. It was like, it like smushed in, but it worked. I don't know. It was weird. The stupid weird things that you find on Reddit, but it's so cool. Reddit is such a cool spot. Dude, I'm going to have to definitely be OnlyFans, dude. I would make, you know how handsome I am? I could make so much money on OnlyFans. OnlyFan brushes. All right, let's work over to our side here. So this one is Pedro. Thank you for the super chats, by the way. Angie, Matt, and Rob, I appreciate it. It does mean a lot to me. You guys are awesome. You guys are awesome. I feel like I just got a little bit on my chin. All right, let's take a look here. Let's zoom this sucker in. Let's move my face out of the way. So, Pedro, I got a real quick question for you. Is this acrylic or is this oil? Because I want to say it's acrylic, but it looks a little too matte flat to be acrylic. It would probably have more of a gloss shine, but let me know. Answer 2 questions. Is this oil or acrylic? And is this, what number painting is this for you? Is this your first painting, 10th painting, 125th painting? That way it gives me some idea on how to help you. Works for thousands of cam girls? Hey, I would know. I watch tons of them. I mean, nothing. I'm doing research for art, I mean. I like simplistic paintings too, Dan. That's why I like that sunset painting I did. I'm surprised nobody, not many more people, I don't know if that sentence made sense. I'm surprised more people didn't watch it because simplistic is sometimes the best. Okay, oil. It was just a little hard to tell. It looks like you didn't use any liquid medium at all. Or if you did, you used very, very, very little. Very little. Okay? Because like in the last, let me duplicate the layer. Like in the last review we had, you've got a lot of patchy marks that aren't blending well correctly. So it looks like you have close to no liquid medium on the canvas, okay? So the whole cool thing about liquid medium and wet on wet is you can take these violet / magenta layers and pull them into the gradient down into where your sun is fading out into the horizon line, okay? So that way, this layer blends with this layer, and this layer blends with this layer, and this layer blends with this layer. You create these beautiful transitions of colors that would happen naturally in the sky. Very, very rare, unless there's a lot of moisture in the air, for sections of color to be isolated. They usually transition pretty well, okay? So we want to work on that. You're trying to practice shadows? Okay, cool. We will help give you some criticisms on that and feedback on that. So to help work on your sky, next time you paint this, I want you to first, just like one of our last reviews, you need to put in, oops, that's the wrong button, Ryan. I want you to mark off your canvas and put off a safety horizon line, okay? The biggest problem is you've got this like itty bitty white spot here, which is like your sun fading down, but we need more transition of the gradients going down. So put a safety line here, then, excuse me, let me take a sip of my coffee. I know, I'm very sick in the head, Lorraine, but it's okay. We're all of us artists are a little off. I'm glad the videos help you out. You use a mop brush to blend, or wait, sorry, I read that wrong in my mind. Wild, I use a mop, I'm assuming brush, not blush, and water spritzer to blend over layering colors, I imagine. Yeah, you can do that. A lot of people missed their canvas a lot, or missed their colors. Okay, so what I want you to do is take this lavender color. You're going to put a cross stroke here and a cross stroke here, okay? Those are your first two touches on the canvas. Then you're just going to cross stroke across, 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 across. Then take a different brush and I don't know what you'd call this, like an orange salmon color. You're going to take, let's use a different color. Oh, that is not the brush button. Come back. There we go. Then take that salmon color and go across, 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 across. Then go back to your violet color. Or if you feel comfortable, you can do this section first and then this section next. And then take this section, this section, this section, this section, this section, and then just put a little bit of color here, okay? Then you can start blending all this together to have beautiful, easy gradients going across that you want. And you can do this in any technical way that you want. You don't have to start from the top. You can start from the bottom, work your way up. You can work from the left. You can work from the right. It's whatever you feel comfortable with. But the whole point I'm trying to make is you want to have better fading gradients that work towards your light source. Remember, this right here is technically your fading light source. So your brightest brights should be right here, and then your darkest darks should be up here, because the light is fading away from this source, okay? So you got to remember where your light source is allocated to in your painting. Acrylics for me require layers upon layers, drying times in those there. Yeah, I mean, that's what it is all about, acrylics. That's why I like acrylics. You can build layers so quickly. Kim would say, blend out the skies, and it would be a beautiful sunset, desert sunset colors. Yeah, we need better blending is all we really need. Okay, let's move on to our mountain here. So Pedro, so your mountain is more like a plateauing mountain. It would very rarely go straight up like a 70-degree angle. What's gonna help? Thank you for the apple, David. A little late, but still good. What if I was going to paint this? Okay, I would probably move my light source here. Okay, then I would take my mountain, cut across, down, up, and then fade. That's how I would do mine. I would make it very simplistic, okay? So that way you don't have to worry about as much. Then, to help us cheat, we can carve in a safety line of our highlight and shadow side. So just come down and across, just like that. And I would really, really fade out this bottom with a 2-inch brush, okay? But now, look, we've already established a way better painting. We've got way better balance. We've got the rule of thirds applied into here, where we've got our sun and light source off here and our mountains on the other side, and they're cutting down nice and across to where we can establish a highlight side on this side, a highlight side on this side, and then our shadow side over on yonder side, just like that. And look how that already is way more balanced as we go across, okay? Then let's switch up a color here. Let's get some green. Then we can take our tree line. And our tree line is, for what you painted in here, you have like segments. And I'm not really sure why these segments go and then stop, go and then stop, go and then stop. I think it's, which is again why I think you didn't put enough liquid white on here. I feel like things weren't blending properly. And if that's true, that's okay. We just need to add a little bit more, and that'll help you out a ton. But Pedro, let's get this layer back. If you're going to create a tree line, we're going to create our tree line. Let's see. So our mountain's coming across. we're going to need some more fading here. So we're going to start it here. So that way we cover up all... Why are you not drawing? Oops, wrong layer, sorry. I would start my tree line here. Or actually, no, you know what? I would start it higher if I was me. And then I would just fade down and across, so that way it covers up all these mistakes, okay? So we've moved our landscape up, and then you know what? I can do another one right here going across, okay? Then we can start building in our lake and our water from right here. And then we have all this space right here for water, all right? Then after that, we can then encapsulate our water, which actually I would probably, if I was me, I'd bring my water to here, and then I would just have like 2 mounds of grass come in front of it that are very close to us, the viewer, because it's going to help push the rest of this back. And that would make everything easier. And that would be a very simplistic and easy painting to do. So Pedro. So Pedro, if I was you, I would repaint this. And this would be a good one. So save this painting. If you have time this weekend, Pedro, or time this upcoming week, what I would do, and I'm going to give you advice here on your shadows, is do exactly what we said. I want you to start with... Why is there green right here? Oh, that's because that's what I painted. It's all right. We got a little bit of green. Nothing I can do about it. Start with your light source here, and then fade up and out, okay? Light source here, fade up and out. Okay? Then take your dark violet color, start here. I should have done a different color. Start here, and then fade down to the light source. We've already created our gradient in the sky, and we're moving on. Then, like we said, I like my bright red. Don't give me this poop brown red. Then, like we said, we're going to do our mountain just like that, like we said, and fade it down across. Then we're going to do our tree line, like we said, to come across. Do 2 of them. And then you can build in your water, and then the 2 mounds. Now, what's going to really be cool is once you've done your tree line, I want you to tap in your tree line, like I did in my one painting, that 3-minute mountain painting. Tap in your tree line with a fan brush. Go across your canvas. Remember to make some high, some low. Leave some space in between so that way it doesn't look like a fence post or gapping or strong gapping. Then take your fan brush, reload it, and go from the other side on the bottom. So tree line up here, then go on the bottom and go like that and tap down very sparsely. Whatever is your tallest tree, make the tallest tree on the bottom. Whatever is your shortest tree, make the shortest tree here. Then when you get to your water right here, let's just say, I'm not well at drawing straight lines with a mouse. Then when you get to your water line here, get out of here. No. Then when you get to your water line here, all you gotta do with the 2-inch brush is go in and pull these ever so slightly down from your tree. And that's what's gonna make reflections and shadows in your water. And that's a simple little trick. And then you've easily got it. And then when you get to your foreground here, this is where you can play with your highlights, okay? So tap in with with a dark blue and green, and then take some cadmium yellow with a little bit of sap green in it, and you can start building in flowers and highlights on top of it, and you got a beautiful, beautiful, simple painting. And that'd be a lot easier. And then water lines you just scratch in with a palette knife. Also, when you do water lines, Pedro, these kind of look like shooting stars in your water. That wouldn't happen. Make all of your water more or less like straight lines. You can add like curved lines in there by zigzagging in there with the straight, and that's going to make it look like water's moving. And that's the easiest part for you. And then there, my friend, you will have a beautiful, beautiful painting. It's true, I didn't put any liquid white on it. Yeah, so that's the problem. If you don't have any liquid white, Pedro, what I would recommend is you can work in sections. And you could put down just white titanium paint or a soft white zinc paint. If you have any thinner, or if you have any mediums, you could do a wash and put that down and then start painting on top of it, and that would help you a ton. But all in all, I love the structure of this painting. We just improved it. You just got to put your gradient, you got to make your mountain come down and across, put your 2 tree lines in front of that, then you got this open lake, and then you got this forest perspective foreground. And it's going to look beautiful. It's actually going to be a great painting. We just have to improve upon the basics of it. But also, if you want to try to do wet and wet, got to get you the mediums to do wet and wet. Back to my banana. You're welcome, Pedro. I like that. I would love to see you paint that one more, if not two more times. So that way you can see your progression improve every time. It's always worthwhile, no pun intended on my name, to paint things multiple times. The best way you're going to learn and grow. In one of my videos, I can't remember if I did this in one of my old videos where I look handsome. One of the tips I think I give is I haven't done it in probably a year and a half, and I should because this is bad. I used to always paint the same painting every year. So that way I could see how much I've improved from year to year to year. Golden Wedding? What is Golden Wedding? I know of the retarder glossing glazes and thinner, but I've never heard of their wedding aid. Is that another medium, Joylyn? If no, I gotta look that one up. That's a new one for me. Okie dokie Finoki Artichoke. Who's next? Who's next on our joyful world of art reviews? Also, Pedro, thank you for allowing us to take a look at your art. I'm so excited to see. One of my favorite things is I love seeing where you guys go with your art. It actually inspires me. You don't realize sometimes when I make videos, I'm like, fuck this. I'm like over it. I'm just like, but then people come back and I get all these beautiful messages. I get donations and the members. You guys show me all this art and I get you guys will never believe how many DMs I get from people where they're like, it's like heartwarming, where they're like, hey, just want to let you know, I've been having a really hard time with my family or school or my life, and I found your videos because I thought I'd try something creative, and it just turned me around. I'm like smiling, I'm having fun. Thank you for the education. Thank you for your videos. And it like makes everything worthwhile, you know? So many people are just like, my God, you're so inspiring. Even though my videos are, you know, fun and entertaining, I just love helping. At some point, maybe we'll make this a career. Space painting and Instagram. Okay, we can do Rob and then baby. Wait, which one is Rob? Wait, Rob, you said you sent yours on Instagram? I don't see a space painting in Instagram. Did you send it to, did you DM it to me? On Messenger? You mean Instagram, KR? The last ones I have one for Denny, David, and the one that just came from Pedro. Maybe I'm not seeing it correctly. Maybe it was Twitter. Did I check my Twitter sphere? On Twitter, let's see. I got no message requests, or do I? No, I do not. Okay, so maybe it just hasn't come through yet on my side. You DM'd it to me? I'll do baby. I gotta do I gotta do you, Rob, as well because you're a member. Not Kimberly. Joy, I'm gonna have to take a look at that medium. I'm not familiar with that one. Yeah, do you mind sending it to me again, Rob? I literally don't see it. The last two DMs I have are from Denny and David. Make sure you're sending it to my my social. We've had that problem before, where it wasn't going to me; it was going to some other person. You should see my beautiful face up there. I like to see a remake to Pedro. I would like to see Pedro paint it again too. It's one of the best ways to learn. No joke. No joke. Okay, cool. Thank you, Joseph. I will have to get those as well. Okay, let's get to babies because I have hers here. Send it to me again and I'll grab it, and then let me know when you send it, Rob, because I'm not seeing it. Technically, my username is Wild for Games, WILD, the number 4, then the word games. Let me just pull everything up here for you real quick. So nervous? No, don't be nervous. I'm gonna tear it down and across. First of all, I can't remember. Baby, do you mind letting us know the painting I'm about to show, which is the one with the barn, by the way, or the cottage, technically. Can you please let us know? I'm going to get my face out here. Can you let us know what number painting is this for you? And then is it in oils or acrylics? Okay. So let's duplicate this and let's zoom this in. But this looks fantastical. Nice high-res image, too, for all of us. So look at the sky. We got our mountains. We got a beautiful cottage here that baby and I are going to live in and raise 17 children and just churn butter all day. We got a bunch of bushes, beautiful fence, water, and then either an inlet cove or bushes. I'm not really sure exactly what this is, but we'll get to that in a second. Relax, I survived. That's a good one. Painting number 6, acrylic, and I've been painting since December 25th of, well, I guess it would be last year, because it's now 2022. You're in the future. You're in the future. Oh my God, give me the lottery numbers, baby. I need all of them. I want to retire. So this is a fantastical painting. May I just say, I love the vibrancy and saturation in this painting. This is awesome. This is awesome. Hey, what's up, Space Jumper? Good morning, or it's probably good evening for you. Greetings to you. Guten Tag. How's everything going with you, my friend? So, first of all, I love this. I really, really, really do. I really do. This is a beautiful painting. I almost can't critique anything on the sky. It's a lot of clouds, but hey, maybe it's a cloudy day. I think it could probably benefit from having less clouds. This is just personal opinion, but I will express my opinion in here in a second. I think it would do good from having less clouds that would be a little bit closer to your mountain. And here's the reason why, baby, okay? It's just like we did with the other painting. If we take this to grayscale, you see how like these whites are very close to this white? It just loses some of the shape and consistency and depth in the painting. So to counteract that, you can just maybe put a little bit more of the desaturated blue up in here, so that way it'd make this pop out from the rest. But that's just a personal opinion. Other than that, I think your clouds look very good. Look, you've got one dry spot right here, but if I had to take a shot in the dark, I would say that's probably where the clamp from the easel's holding it down, so you had a hard time painting it. And I would probably darken up your corners like you tried to do here, and when you do that, it would create more of a focal point down into here. It's going to pull your eye down and across. So I would say just darken those corners and pull the gradients down and across. Okay? Other than that, I think this is beautiful. If you wanted to enhance your clouds a little bit, I would probably... So here's the tough part. Here's the tough part. The biggest mistake you made is your light source. Now, obviously, your light source is coming from right because your highlights are indicated on that from your mountain. But here's the problem, is your highlight is technically on this side for your cabin. Your highlight on your fences are technically on the left side, and your highlights on your bushes are everywhere. You want highlight crazy, but it's okay if you could get away with that if your light source was straight down. And I feel like that's probably what you had envisioned in your head. And then you watch Bob Ross and you're like, oh, I need to add a highlight side on my mountain and a shadow side on my mountain, which kind of threw off the rest of the highlights. So when you paint your next one, you need to remember where your light source is and stick with it, okay? It's okay they went a little overboard. I think it's beautiful. But to correct that, the reason I'm saying that is because, look, your highlights on your clouds are perfectly on this side for the right side of your canvas, but then on the left side of your canvas, they're also kind of kissing from this side. And the only way that would happen in nature is if your sun was coming straight down, more or less, you know? So next time you paint, if your sun is over here, whoops, if your sun's over there, most of your highlights have to come from this side as well. Okay, just keep that in mind. Just keep that in mind. So sky, fantastic. I am going to tear you apart just because I love you so much, baby. I'm going to tear you apart a little bit. I know, isn't that fence beautiful? I can't paint fences that well. That's why I don't do them. Your mountain's not good. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean that we can make it better. You made one of the biggest mistakes every new artist makes is you made triangle mountains, okay? You came up, triangle. You came up, triangle. You came up, triangle. These are straight lines like we just said, okay? You know it, I know it. So let's move beyond it and let's correct it a little bit, okay? Next time you make a mountain, I'm going to zoom out just a tiny bit, move it over here for you guys. Next time you make a mountain, don't think about this at all. This is going to be tough. I would start with my palette knife or a brush. I would start here. I would come up, little wiggle, wiggle, jiggle. Come up, wiggle, 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 jiggle. Come down, wiggle, 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 jiggle, and fade out. Or I would probably move my mountain a little more over here, you know? It doesn't have to be center punched. It doesn't have to be center punched. And then you could just like, I don't know, maybe add one up and down here if you wanted and fade out. That was kind of a crappy one. Hard to draw with the mouse a little bit. I would probably skew this left or right so it's not center punched. And then just add my mountain from here. And then I would carve in my line like you do, like I do, and come down and fade across. So that way everything's a little more balanced. But don't be afraid to add a little bumps and natural jiggles in there because it's going to help you a ton. Now, since you're doing acrylic, paint breaks are tough. Like we can, God, I love the high res image. This makes it so much easier and so much beneficial for all of us. Baby, you get a 10 out of 10 on the photo. But since you're doing acrylics, here's the toughest part you're gonna have. See how everything kind of smushes like butter a little bit? It's gonna be very tough. So what you can do to cheat a little bit is next time you take your white paint out for your mountains, your highlights, let it sit for a little bit. Let it firm up and dry a tiny bit. Then when you go on to apply it, it's gonna be easier because it's gonna show these undertones, okay? But all in all, I think you did a fantastic job. The only thing you need to do is as you're coming down your mountain like this, well, that was a horrible arrow. As you're coming down like this and swooping across, you need to think about, is this snow or is this just intense sunlight hitting the rocks, okay? Because if this is snow, snow is gonna melt as it goes down. It's colder up here than it is down here. So this snow would melt versus this snow that would sit up here, okay? So more brown has to peek through down here, okay? So what I would do is as you're coming down, stop your snow here. Come down, stop your snow here. Come down, stop your snow here. So that way it's a little bit more brown, and then you can go in with your paintbrush and add in the points that you want. It's gonna be a lot easier. You just sent me one on Instagram? Cool, thank you. Remind me at the when we're all done here. That would be easier for me. Then what I would also do, baby, is I love the details in the shadows. So you got the highlight and shadow side. However, this is way too intense. You're basically saying your sun isn't up here and shooting down. You're saying your sun is pissed off today and throwing sun so intensely hard that it makes such dark shadows and it's low. So it's creating this huge intensity light or huge intensity light that is then creating a strong shadow. So here's how we correct this and make it easy. So when you're putting on your highlight here, take this white color and just have it cascade over the side a little bit. And this is gonna help you shape your mountain, okay? There's gonna be little pieces that the sun is gonna come down. This is the sun. He's happy. And he's pushing light gingerly across this mountain because it's going to wrap. You've got so many clouds in your sky, it's having diffusion as it's coming across. So light is going to come across here. So just take a little bit of white with like a fan brush or a basic angled shader or even a torn up, like a legitimately torn up flat brush, and just come in here and just go boop, boop, boop. Maybe even a couple down here. So that way it looks like light kind of kicked over and hit little crevices. And that's really going to add a lot of dimension to your mountains, okay? Other than that, not too bad. All right, so here's where we get to another strong problem. Your background colors of your bushes and trees are good. The only thing I would probably change if this was personally me is these all seem to be the same height going across, except for this one. That one's good. I would make some high, make some low, and that's it. That's the only thing I would have for change, okay? For your background here, for this grass that your cabin sits on, this is all one color. Look, see how it goes from dark green to a very lighter green? I would probably add patches of light green in here, so that way it looks like a rolling hill section. And all that is a little bit of dark green, go back and mix with a little cad yellow, then go back dark green, and just scatter some things in here as you're grading, or not, grounding it's called, or blocking your color in. It's gonna add depth into what this cabin is sitting on. Very easy technique, just switch in between colors. And if you don't like it, you can always darken it up. Okay, so cabin's fantastic. Cabin's fantastic. The only issue I have is it looks like it goes up and then goes down, and then this goes flat. I would probably make this cabin all flat, and then make your pier or dock, whatever this is, technically go down. But I can't critique the cabin because I think it's cute and adorable as shit. So great, fantastic job. Just the highlight was the only thing I have a criticism on. The problem I have is I love this hedge here. Okay. But this is all one. Okay. This is all one thing. When technically I feel you should have made this. You probably should have made this a set of trees, like big bush trees that come up, okay? And make this its own layer, all right? So I would, if I was gonna paint this, I'd paint a big tree, big bushy tree that stops here, and then make this a dark section. Then I would build these bushes in front that fade down and across. So that way you've created multiple planes that are cementing this cabin in something. It looks like, it just looks flat because you have so many of the same colors and so many of the same highlights across everything. Like this bush right here looks like it's on steroids. Like this bush has not skipped leg day. It is strong, but it just makes it look flat because it's all one big thing. I feel like if you would have broken it up with a couple of things, it would make it, you could do more black spots, but I think if you just made like a tree, a big bushy tree, and then there was, I keep missing my X button. God dang it. That's not what I want. Oh, B, then X. Then if you had some black in between, and then you put these bushes here, you just have, look, you have got this one plane, technically a dark plane, and then a third plane here. So you've added multiple layers, and it's the same thing. We're just mixing it up a little bit, and that would build a little more depth in the painting. And it's tough because I do the same thing too. You just go in and you start doing everything. Hey, what's up, Original Rumple? How you doing, man? Long time no see. How you been, buddy? You didn't do anything wrong, and you didn't do anything bad. I just think it looks, the hard work you put in here makes it look flat, and we don't want it to make it look flat. Okay. You also, the reason, I think the other reason it looks flat is most of your highlights are just sitting on top in the general same shape. Like look at my arcs. All of my arcs are pretty much the same thing. And sometimes what makes things look not flat is by defining shapes. So some highlights should go like that. Some should be like that, you know? Some should be like that, kicking on the side. You just need to mix it up a little bit because all bushes grow in different directions. All of yours are, again, highlighted from the top. And you already stated this. You're like, I got a little highlight happy, and that's fine. But next time, like when you get to the spot, baby, go, okay, highlight, stop, just stop. Step back, take a sip of water, your juice box, your wine, your whiskey, whatever it is, and go, all right, that one looks good. Where would my next set of highlights go? Okay. Highlight. I'm gonna leave this black in here, you know? Let's even make that black. Gonna leave this to be a black spot, let's say. Let's say that was a black spot. All right, my next layer of highlight. So sit back and we're gonna go, okay. I'm gonna put highlight here. Maybe a highlight here. That's because the sun's coming in. Like, just sit back and think about like where light would play off the leaves. And it's tough. That's why Bob always says you got to think like a bush, you know, and it's true. You kind of do. Your fence, fantastic. It's fantastic. I like fences that aren't straight. I love how it goes up, down, down, up, straight, across, boom, boom. I think it's great. I love the little grass that you did in the background. Your water cliff ridge, it's too straight up and down. It literally just goes straight. If the water's flowing this way, or if the water's flowing this way, water very rarely flows straight down. I would just make this at an angle when you're carving it in. So if it was coming from this way, technically, like if wind was blowing from left to right or right to left, it would erode the land one way or the other. So maybe next time when you do something like this, just think about the angle of how the land would sit. And you do that with grounding in with the brown and then putting a little highlight in the same direction. And technically it can go in both. When you go in both, that's going to create a cove right here. And it's just something you got to think about. You brought yours more like straight down. Technically, it can go straight down, but then if it went straight down like this, baby, you'd put your light brown up top, and then there should be a little bit of dark brown because light wouldn't hit the base. Then your water lines are okay. I would say it's a little tough because it's a little patchy as we get in close here. So if you're doing this in acrylic, I would put down a little bit of liquid medium so that would become slick, or I'd put down a little bit of white paint or blue paint, depending on if you want it darker or lighter. And you'd have to do multiple layers of brushing on top so that way it becomes slick as it goes across. Then when it tackies up a little bit, you can then put your white caps by either going across with a thinned out white with like water, if you wanted water and white, like, you know, a 15% ratio. So that way you can streak back and forth, and it's going to add these little white caps where it looks like winds popping on top of things. Okay. Now here's the biggest problem I have. Other than the mountain, this is the other problem. I've been doing good, Rumple. Just been doing art, hanging out, working a bunch. What about you? You still going on Twitch? Still hanging out with all the cool peeps? You love painting hanging plants? I love like moss hangs. Those are so cool. Hard as shit. But yeah, like hanging plants as in like in planter boxes and all that stuff, or whatever you call the ones that come down from chains that go into those little hook parts that go under a potted plant. Those are cool too. Your window's crooked, but who cares? Just gives the cabin more character. Here's the biggest problem I have. I have no idea in reality what this is and what this is. I don't know if this is trying to be a waterway or if these are trying to be like hills that come down into here that then makes this go into like a channel. I don't know what these are. Are these just big bushes that are growing up and out this way? Like, that's the confusing thing. Two huge bushes. Okay. I think, yeah, no, I feel you, my dear. I feel you on this, because when I get to the foreground, I get stuck a lot too. Your foreground is one of the most difficult things because it's it's the most detailed part of your painting technically, because it's in the foreground as it should be. The problem is I feel like they look like a lot of things. Lazen, they look like a lot of things. They could be bushes, they could be trees, they could be what they're trying to be like grass hills that are laying flat. They could be flower beds that are in fields. It's just, if I was to paint this, I would eliminate this channel. Okay? You created this beautiful, beautiful water scene, and I love it. So what I would probably do is in this corner and in this corner, I would start building my bushes. Okay? So with my background color of green, I would, start pushing in very hard with my brush all the way across and maybe build like a higher plane, so that way, it's broken up a little bit. And then I would tap in my color. Or you could probably do, actually, it would probably be beneficial. We don't want to ruin the cabin, so here's what I would probably do. I would probably start right here, ground in my color, and go all the way across. I'm German now. I'd go all the way across with my dark sap green. Okay? And I would fill this thing in its entirety with sap green, just like that. All right? Then I would put my highlights. Oh, did I not pick yellow? I thought I did. Oh, I didn't pick it up. Then I would put my highlights and build my bushes and go bush crazy, just like you did over here, and add that across. Okay? So that's what I would do. Then, if you got the cojones, I would then probably, where are you at? Come here. I would add a stick tree. No joke. Coming right off the canvas. Just like yonder. Like a dead tree. Just like that. So that way, you know, I can have my little highlights of bushes that you're very good at creating. But at least that would flow more with the naturalness of the land of which you got, and it would keep in the same consistencies of everything. And that's what I would probably do, to be honest. I think that would look great the way that it is, but you should be extremely proud with what you built here. This is beautiful. Beautiful. I think it's great and fantastic. I would be happy to paint something this well, and you should be very proud. All the advanced elements that you put in this baby, like the cabin and the fence, you're very good at. So I would say if you can cover I wouldn't cover all the water. I would probably just accentuate the water by putting something that creates a forced perspective, like I said earlier with that bush coming across and tree. If I was you, the next landscape, because I know you sent me another one, don't put in advanced elements. Let's work on some of the basics really quick for your next one. I know it's tough because you're like, I want to do this, I want to do that, and I get it. But if I was you, switch colors. I would eliminate this and I would eliminate that, okay? So on the next one, do your clouds. Maybe try multicolored clouds. Try something with like a little bit of pink hue in there. Make sure to that's coming from here. So make sure you establish your light source that's coming from this side. Then work on your mountains. Don't do tiger claws. Let's get here. You got your light source here. Establish where it's at. Then we're going to come, oops, that was a horrible line. Going to come up, down, up, fade over, up and down, boom. Then you can bring your bush line across. Then you can put whatever you wanted here, some grasslands. You're very good at grass. Practice that grass, perhaps. Then, you know, we can build a nice little plane of a foothill here. And maybe another one coming across. Add a little streak of water line in here that comes down and across. And then put a forced perspective out here. I know it looks like a bunch of mishmash, but I think working on the landscape build that you do would help you. So that way when you add things like cabins and fence posts and whatever you want, would really, really show and shine for you. You have so many things that are done exceedingly well in that painting, baby, that hold on, my eye itches. I know, I love leaving you on. You have so many things that you did exceedingly well that on the basic things that have just small mistakes, they accentuate even more because you notice them more, you know? Like you can tell your bushes are way too big. You notice that your highlights are way too many. You notice that like your shape structure doesn't flow. Like everything's kind of a circle, you know, when you look at it. You're just like, I mean, for the exception of this is pretty much just like a mound, you know? And then this is a circle. And then this is a circle. We got to start building some better shapes for you so you can work on structure shape. And that's difficult, not easy. I would know. I fail at it all the time. But that's fantastic painting. I don't know how old you are, baby, or how long you've been painting for, but you should be extremely proud of that. Extremely proud of that. That's a painting you put up like in your hallway or your bathroom or somewhere you can see it every so often. That was a beautiful one. When I got a text message in here, I got to finish my banana. Hold on, I got to write a text message back. You're welcome, baby. Thank you for allowing us to take a look at that artwork. That was beautiful. I love it. I can't wait to see what the next one you paint is. Your other painting is great too. The one with the rowers and the boats. But I didn't want to do that one because I don't know how to paint people. And I don't do boats. So I feel like this one would be a better one to give you some more feedback on. From an artistic friend. Somebody that can give you some like structure and whatnot. So that way when you paint other things like that other one, it's really, really going to help you out, you know? If there were trees and the angle was from above, how would you do it to make the branches more visible? I'm not sure if I follow. You mean for what Baby's painting was? You mean if you were like looking down from the top of a bloom of a tree? You wouldn't really do that from the perspective it would be at. You're kind of like at eye level looking up. Because you couldn't be higher because the mountains would have to be lower technically because you're looking down on them. You've been painting for 5 months. It looks you've been doing great for 5 months, baby. You've been doing great. So even where the light comes from oh wait. So even where the light comes in is dark in the corners? You mean would you make it darker? Yeah, so hold on, let me take a bite. Let me pop your pane back open. So if your light source is here, baby, we've established Mr. Sun is over here, and he's kicking this way, and he's kicking this way, and he's kicking this way a little bit, okay? So, all of your highlights. Oh, that's another thing I should have said to you about. Now that you brought it up, now we're going to tear this painting across more. You should have stopped while you were ahead, sweetie. So here's the thing that we need to talk about. All of your highlights are the same intensity. They shouldn't be. Your strongest highlights should always be on this outer edge since this is your light source right here, okay? Then as we go into here, your next row of highlights should be less. Then your next layer of highlights should be less. Then your next layer of highlights should be extremely faded, just like that. Everything should get darker and more faded as it's falling away from this light source here. And this rule would apply to also here and here. So yes, everything would get darker in the corners down here. Okay? So yes, you are correct. You are correct. Good eye. Good eye. I think it could use a couple trees. I said it could probably use like a little stick tree kicking up right here because that would actually push a lot of the perspective way further back, you know, in this painting. Or I'm a huge fan of like dead trees, like a big thick dead tree that's got like a lot of highlight bark on one side, you know. Oh, hold on, I gotta answer a phone call real quick. Give me 1 second. Alrighty, I'm back. Sorry for that. Sometimes duty calls. Alrighty. We've got, I think, time to do one more. One more. Who wants to be our last one? Last Victim. I might even have time to do one of these during the week next week. Matt, would you suggest drawing out a blueprint with a pencil before you start? Yeah, you know, that's actually very... If you're talented enough to sketch out a basic template, let's say, or roadmap if you want. KR, yeah, okay. This guy. I say do it. A lot of people also, too, when you ground your canvas, some people do like a wash template. And Andrew Tischler does this a lot. You can take like a very thinned out, and I mean extremely thinned out, color and like draw it in with a script liner brush or a thin brush, and whenever you put color on top of that, it's going to easily stick on top because it's so thin. But that at least allows you to be like, oh, okay, this is where my horizon is, this is where my mountain's going to go, this is where my cabin's going to kind of go, my foothills, my trees, and all that, you know, fun stuff. Momo Cube, you sent on Instagram? Okay. Or sorry, Twitter. We might have to get that one for the next one, but I'll be happy to look at it. KR, what did you send it on? You sent it on Twitter, Instagram? The only ones I still have on Instagram, let me refresh everything here, is, let's see, Instagram. Yeah, the last two, oh wait, maybe it's under request. No? I have David Fonda and Denny. So let me check Twitter. Twitter, I got 2 requests. Let's see here. I got Momo Cube, Lewis. Oh wait, there's KR. Okay, I got KR. Ooh, this is pretty. I like this one, KR. This is gonna be good. How's everything going today with you, Momo? Hopefully you're doing well. Excuse me. All right, I'm going to take a 1 minute break here really quick. I gotta go to the restroom. I gotta hit the little boys' room. So let's just put on, I don't know, put on Canon Major D apparently because it's royalty free. But give me 1 second. I gotta hit the restroom real quick. Okay, talks amongst yourselves really quick. Okie dokie, I'm back. Probably should turn the music louder on for you. Didn't realize that till I walked away, but it's okay. Check my emails. Oh, thank you so much, Joylyn, for sending me that. Wedding Aid. I have not seen that one. You gotta be joking me. How long of a extending time does that make it last for? I'm gonna have to look that up. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna look it up on Amazon right now. Golden Wedding Aid. Is it an airbrush medium? What? I found a Wedding Agent. Acrylic flow release. That's not the same thing as yours, though. Wedding Aid and... Why can't I find the same one that you have? Is it not on Amazon? There's the thinner. Isolation coat. It's not on Amazon. Even though it comes up. Okay, we're going to look it up on Blick really quick. Sorry, I can't look at the chat. Give me one moment. Golden Wedding Aid. There it is. $7. Golden acrylic. Oh, see, it's a pouring medium. That's why I didn't use it before. So it extends the acrylic polymer medium. Hey, Arena, thank you so much for becoming a member. I appreciate it. You are awesome. Love you so much. So let's see here. Golden Wedding Aid is a concentrated additive that reduces the surface tension of water in the acrylic emulsion, improving wetting and increasing the slickness of the flow of acrylics. Adding a Wedding Aid to water improves the absorption of acrylic colors into the porous surfaces, allowing you to achieve rich stains in watercolor paper and unprimed canvas. Wedding Aid contains no binder and should only be used properly to dilute. I wonder what the ratio you can do on it. Does it say on the back of the bottle, Joy, how much medium to color you're allowed to mix? Probably not more than 20%, right? I'm gonna have to try that. Thank you. So this is why I love the community. You guys just turned me onto something new. I imagine that medium is more or less used for pour paintings. But now we know. It's so funny. I got mine from Dick Blick and it wants to not show it. Okay, Art, thank you for the upgrade membership. Hell yeah! Love you guys. You painted a lot of wildlife after a bad accident 8 years ago. I have learned to use my right hand all over. Well, I'm glad that you are pursuing and found a good creative outlet. Just want to make sure I caught up a chat while I was reading everything or reading off what that was. Oh, you created an account just to follow me? Thank you, KR. I appreciate it, man. You guys are awesome. You guys are all fantastic. God, I can't believe I just learned about a new medium. Thank you so much, Joy. That makes me happy. Would you kill me if I told you I did that painting with apple barrel? Nope, my buddy Tally does a lot of paintings with apple barrel. It's cheap and effective and it works well. Oh wait, I don't understand. Are the trees in the background supposed to be darker green and get lighter towards the front of the canvas? Or do I have it backwards? When things are in the background, more light is coming down and hitting that. So there's more light pollution that happens between the distance in the painting that you're creating. So like when you go outside today, if it's somewhat of a brightish day, Lorraine, thank you for the $5 on the super sticker. Bravo. So if you go out today and you look in the distance, look at something that's like 50 feet away. You probably see somewhat decent detail in it. Then look at something that's 500 feet away and it has a little less detail and it's a little bit brighter or whiter, let's say whiter, less saturation in it. Then look at something 5,000 feet away, almost more than a mile. Or is a mile 3,256, something like that? Thank you for the super chat and sticker. And when you see something at 5,000 feet away, it's got a lot of light pollution and not a lot of strong color in it. It's got a lot of white and haze, you know? You go out in nature and paint watercolor. I need to do more travel paints. All right. This is KR's. Let's pull it up here. Get it already. This is such a fantastic painting. I already love it. Not much criticism here, my friend's going to come up. You're going to be impressed. You're going to be impressed. And I can't wait to look at it. All right. Let me get a drink. Or what happened to my coffee? It's probably cold by now, but let's lube the throat up. Heard that many times in college. Lighter to darker. Lighter to darker. Correct. What you just said, baby. All right, here we go. Look at this. Look at this masterpiece on masterpiece. I love the smoothness in this. This is so good. So good. Let me just move that a little bit here. So let me make sure my fat face isn't in the way. So let's take a look at this. Ah, no, why are you zooming in? Don't zoom in, zoom out. There we go. Look at this. Love, 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 love the colors. So good, dude. This is great, KR. Love it. Oh, God, this right here, right here. This is one of my favorite colors of blue. When you put an undertone of a semi-transparent color, then you put white, and it's got maybe just a little towards the shades of like a phthalo green within the blue. Love this color of aqua. One of my favorite colors of all time. Such a beautiful color. This is fantastic, fantastic. So let's take a look at it. To be honest with you, this is beautiful, KR. You should be. May I ask, medium that you painted it in, so that way everybody in the chat knows, and also how many. Let's go with how long have you been painting, and what number painting do you think this is, so that way people have a perspective on who you are, what your art is, or what they can expect. While I do that, another sip of my coffee. I love everything about this. I love everything about this. This is great. Great. 26th painting. Been painting since July. Dude, awesome. This is great, dude. This is fan-frickin-tastic. So I love the colors right off the bat. This right here is what you would call eye-catching. You know? Look, we've got so many different multitude of colors going on here that it just pops right out, right when you look at it. You know, it's got great focal points all around, from the starburst sky to the soft horizon line to the background trees, which may or may not be done in gesso. It's hard to tell with these back ones here. When I zoom in, I might be able to tell a little bit more. Then the foreground trees, the detail, the shifting in warm to cold. You got a great shift from your warm to cold, and you've got great angles all around. Nothing is like super straight, nothing is wonky. Everything feels like it's good in perspective. Yeah, background trees are in gesso. See, I know what I'm talking about sometimes. Even a broken clock is right twice a day. So let's start. To be honest, I don't know if there's much criticism, but I will find. The cool thing about what we're going to do here, this will be more of just a, excuse me, had a little burpee there. This will just be more of like artist to artist bouncing and brainstorming or getting perspectives. And that's the cool thing about art, is there's no right or wrong way. It's just different ideas on approachability. The only one question I have is, did you try to do somewhat of a vignette effect up here with like a sap brown, like a Van Dyke brown or something like that? Because it looks discolored at the top compared to the fluidness of the rest of the painting. I would probably have something that would have kept in tone with the smoothness of the gradient going across, but I'm not sure if this was like a mismatch, or you tried to do something here either at the beginning or the end that you weren't too happy with. Van Dyke brown, yeah, it looks a little sparse and patchy. Now I can understand that it's probably not meant to be intense, but it just looks a little patched. But it could just be the picture. It's hard to tell, like as you zoom in. But since everything else is so smooth, I would just have the matchness of the smoothest meet it, because I don't like it when things go from patchy to smooth or smooth to patchy. I like it to be either streaked all the way across or smooth all the way across, and then build texture up from there. But other than that, not bad. I love the textures that you built here. You have good light to dark ratio, even starting from down here. Let's get a color out. Let's go with a smaller brush. When you're starting down here, like you can even see there's like a little bit of white, and it's kicking up into more saturation, which is great because our sun, which was up here, has set. So you did a great job, because as things get darker, they can get more intense with saturation in it. So this is fantastic. The only thing I would probably critique a little bit on is I love your clouds, but they look flat. Overall, I think they're pretty flat. Now, that's not a bad thing, and it's not a good thing, and it's just a personal opinion. I feel like it could have used some more density or different transitions of density in here to make them not look so flat. Like, it looks like you tried right here on these two undersides, but it looks like it didn't fade out too well. I feel like there should be some fades up in here, and fades up in here, and fades up in here, and fades up in here. They're not bad. I just feel like personally they're flat. I would maybe add another layer or a highlight layer, just kissing underneath a little bit with the yellow and white. because since your sun's, I don't know why I'm using my fingers. I got this mouse here. Since your sun's here, and you have all this intensity here and here, you can maybe have it kiss a little bit underneath. You've built all this beautiful 3D shapes within your foreground. Building a little 3D shape in your background might help wrap. It's such a soft light. Remember, it's going to wrap around and kiss, and that's it. On these streak ones, these are fine. These are fine, you know, because they're getting blended in with the color in the background. So overall, good. The cloud's the only thing that I think that looks a little off, but not by much. I think you could say that's artistic choice. Artistic choice. The gesso trees in the background are beautiful. May I say, fantastic job of not filling your tree entirely. For anybody that can see this right here, look how there's gappage. See the gappage? It just adds so much more. That's what trees are. You know, trees aren't perfect. They fall, break, have gaps and stuff like that during seasons and whatever. Oops, let's start here. Let's see if it here. It gets too pixelated if I come in too close. So background trees are fantastic. May I just say, I love this layer you built. I love how it's not a straight line. It's almost straight. Dude, look at this. It's almost straight, but it's not. Beautiful. Look at this. It goes over, then fades down. This one's almost straight line, but it's not. You just added just a little bit of slant, dude. And it makes a huge difference to create a focal point right here. Great job. Great job. I love your trees that you did not go overboard. Little bit of sap green, probably a little bit of Van Dyke brown, and maybe a little blue or black to knock it down to a very dark color. Then you just added a little bit of highlight color on top of it. And I even love how you put a little bit of brown down here at the bottom, or that's the background poking through. So it looks like it has depth, and it looks like there's gaps, and it looks like everything's pushing through. Beautiful, beautiful, and beautiful. The only critique I would say probably on the trees, and this is just a personal one. All the trees are the same height, more or less. This grouping of trees, not counting this big tree right here, KR, this grouping of trees, all the same height. These background gessoed trees are, in my opinion, way further back. So I would probably have these be smaller compared to this mid-ground coming up. So I would make these a little bit bigger, just sticking over these just a tiny bit more, so it pushes on that perspective. Like, this tree right here is a Godzilla in comparison to everything. This tree right here is sucking Mother Earth dry. But that's fine. I think you could have just had this tree that's technically behind here go up a little bit more, and then that makes this tree smaller. But it's just such a minor criticism. It's just something I know from an art perspective. And that's it. I love your moss and grass that comes over. Everything looks beautiful with your cliff sides that you built down and across like this. Beautiful, beautiful, by the way, that you faded here. That you faded like these little slants coming down. And all in all, very, very good. So let's see here. Where do I want to start? I think the only thing I would probably criticize on your moss is I would probably put a multitude of greens in here. Used, like, I don't want to say neon green, but it's the best color I can think of. I think if you had a marbleization of greens, I think it would add a little bit of depth on here coming across, and then you could just put a little bit of highlight on top, and then that I think it would add a little more depth. But that's an advanced technique to think about. What you did isn't wrong, and what you did isn't necessarily right either. I think you could just add a little bit more texture. You have the advanced talent to add a little more depth to it with those different highlights there. The other thing I would have is you would build mist. This is landing hard. I don't know how big in your mind this is a drop, but remember, mist doesn't just spray flat and out like this. Mist sprays up this way too, up this way too, and there would be mist down in here. So I would add a little more mist effect kicking up in here and kicking out in here that would fade into your foreground elements. So where it would be pushing that waterfall even further back, or making it look like it has more of an impact. That's a personal choice though. This may only be, you know, a couple feet high, but in my mind, this is a couple stories high, like 10 to 20, maybe even 30 feet high. Hard to tell with the trees, but there should be more of a splash, you know, that you could just take your fan brush, load it up and push it down so your fan breaks down and out this way. So that way you can push it up and it's going to add splashes. And that's what you could put here. But I think you could take a 2-inch brush with like a zinc white, which is more transparent. And you could like, oh, that's way big. You could like tap in here, 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 tap in, or actually, you know what? Let's do this on a brand new layer, yes. So let's say you took your fan brush, or sorry, I'm sorry, 2-inch brush, put paint, if, where's my hand? If you put paint just on this top level, does that make sense for it? Or I guess my brush would be here. Put paint just on this top level here, and then go tap, 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 tap. Okay, now tap, 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 because you already know you're putting an element here. And then clean it off, then take a dry 2-inch brush and start tapping just the base of this out. And what it's gonna do, it's gonna fade. Oh, I thought it was gonna be a smooth transition. It's gonna fade that off. So you have all this mist that's coming up because you've created a valley right here. I'm so excited about this paint. You've created a valley here. So when wind is gonna go in, it's gonna go up and push. It's gonna go up and push because the cliff's here, which means water molecules are gonna go up into the air. And that's gonna add a beautiful, beautiful effect in this element of this painting that you can easily add. That I think will really add another layer and dimension to your painting. And I think that would be cool. And that would just be a little bit of tapping of layers, and that would be easy. But this is so beautiful. And then, let's see. I love your cliffs. The only thing I would probably give a little bit of criticism on your cliff is I feel like there could be darker elements to it. Like this tone right here, and this tone right here matches the same tone under here. And this technically should be darker over on the left-hand side, so that because it's further away from your light source and there's moss hanging over on it. But it's fine. It's fine. You could still see it. I think it would pop even more if there was darker to it. And then this side should be, these undersides should be darker because it's the furthest away from the light source. But again, it's fine. I think it would just help a little bit if it was a little bit darker. Let me zoom out. Your trees, no criticisms, nothing. These are beautiful. I love them. The only criticism I would have is you fucked up on one thing. Or no, you not really. I think, now, depending on your style of trees, I think you said it was like a Pacific Northwest, so these could be some kind of like white birch branch tree, whatever you want to call it, is your light source is technically coming from here, the light source is technically coming from here. So you should have more highlights on this side, more highlights on this side. Your highlights are perfectly even down, which makes the light source coming from our view going that way, when it should be on one side and fading across. Also, your highlight should ever so slightly be stronger up here and then get weaker as it goes down, even more so because you've created this plane right here, so light's not going to come over and hit this side as much. And that would just add a little more texture to these trees as it go down. And that's just something hard, you know? Even when I do it, you take your loaded brush, and I can already tell KR did the same thing. You're like, hell yeah, let's do it. Do. And you didn't even think about it. You're like, oh, I probably should have gone do. Wipe off a little bit, do. Wipe off a little bit, do. You just get excited, you know? Everything else is so beautiful, dude. So beautiful. The last piece of criticism I would give is on the bark of the trees, I'd probably put on this side, KR. I would probably make it more black, and I'd probably leave this side a little more black because obviously, again, the light source is coming this way. So it would wrap around and be dark on that side. Also, I would probably put less highlight here on these bushes. This one's fine because this is a little higher. Reason is I feel like these bushes are under this cove. So I would make these have just a little bit of highlight and leave the rest like dark, because then it's like those bushes are growing just out enough to catch the sunlight coming across. And that would make that valley, or whatever you call this. I don't really call below a cliff that goes in. Cove still, maybe? It's the word of the day. Your cliff rock formations are beautiful. Very beautiful. Love the color of red in orange that you put in here. And I love the sticks and the twigs. Your water lines are good and fluid. Great job keeping the perspective line of the sheen going right here and not putting it on the sides, because that wouldn't happen, by the way. This is just fucking fantastic. The last little bit I would give from just a personal opinion, it doesn't have to be done, is this section and this section. I feel like you could probably go a little thicker, just a tiny bit thicker on your pushed in highlights, so it has a little more of a texture feel to it, so that way it just stands out a little bit more in the foreground, because I feel like these are your weakest highlights. Like, your highlights on your tree are fantastic, and these highlights are fantastic, so I feel like these two should have a little more detail in it to pull the painting more forward in the foreground, and then it'll shove everything else back. But dude, this is a beautiful painting, KR. Beautiful. This one, I wish I could paint this well. I wish I could paint this well. This is awesome. This is awesome. I would probably think, like, I like it where if you go with your palette knife, where's my paintbrush? There we go. Why is my B button not working now? Am I on a locked layer? Uh-oh. We may have a Photoshop problem. It's thinking. Oh, I think Photoshop is locking up. Not good. Come on, Photoshop. It won't let me draw now. But anywho, what I was going to say, you can still see my mouse cursor. Can I zoom in, maybe? Nope, can't zoom in. I don't know why Photoshop's giving me junky monkey right now. If you took your palette knife, we'll do it this way. You took your palette knife and you went down with the angles where you made the streaks with most likely a fan brush or a flat, and did that ever so slightly under the cliff, it's going to give you more texture, where it looks like rocks are kind of like chiseling and breaking away from the waterfall that was there, or erosion over time. Then you can take your 2-inch or 1-inch brush and just ever so slightly pull down on it so it fades in, but it's still going to leave pits, which is a cool little technique that you can do, which is really going to help separate this plane of cliff from this plane of cliff. But other than that, dude, so good. So good. I love that painting. I don't know why Photoshop's being a dick right now. They don't want me to switch over and give you more awesome criticisms, but dude, that was great. KR, that was fantastic. Hey, what's up, Guitar? How you doing there, bud? The water is my favorite part because I just love that blue. The trees, the background trees were so fantastic. May I ask, KR, did you put your trees in with a paintbrush for the gesso trees, or did you put those in with a sponge brush? Because it almost looked like it had a chiseled edge and you just pushed and went down and left gaps. I'm curious to know. I love that, dude. I can't wait to see your next painting. Those were beautiful, dude. Making me look like a chump. That's a good idea. My friend said the same thing about the mist on the waterfall, and it's true. And it's just a personal opinion. You're so proud of your waterfall that you're like, I don't want to cover it up. But it's like, that would happen, is like water would come in, splash, kick up water, and then since there would be not a vortex, but since there would be pressure, it would be kicking the water up, and then the air pressure would be churning like this, and some water molecules will kick away and float. And that's just how it works. Would a cut up old credit card work for swipes? For like water swipes? You talking about like cuts? Yeah, you can use a credit card. You can use a paint or an actual like spatula, like cooking spatula too. Oh, I'm glad you found my channel, Joy. I love looking at everybody's artwork. This is the thing I'm gonna go work on, or actually, either today or tomorrow. I gotta see what the weather's like. I don't like doing epoxy when it's cold out. When it's warmer, it flows easier and it's easier to get the bubbles out. So I don't know what I'm gonna work on today. I just looked outside. It's still gloomy in California, which is still a rarity for me. Use many tips on my videos. Well, thank you. May I ask, for that painting we just looked at, KR, how many hours did it take you to complete that painting? I think that would help people as well. I like the dark. The contrast is one of the hardest things I think people forget is contrast is what can really make a painting stand out. And people feel like they always have to put a ton of color into a painting because you're like, oh, I'm painting, I got to use a ton of color and a lot of paint. It's like, no. You can leave things like white bare spots or black bare spots, you know, and that will help really make your painting pop as well. 7 hours, yeah. And you can tell, dude, that was awesome. It looked great. Looked great. I'm gonna have to steal that one from you. I can't wait to show all these. I gotta learn to collect all of them from who they are and post them back on Instagram when I'm done for all the cool things you guys are creating. You have to start a requested piece tonight? What is the requested piece that you're painting, Joy? 7 hours. 7 hours. That's so awesome, dude. Congratulations. That's a fantastic man. That a painting like that would sell. Hell, I'd buy it. Oh my. Oh my. Good gosh. By the way, I didn't even get a chance to say, KR, thank you for allowing us to look at your art. Thank you for allowing me to review it and for us to balance everything off each other. That's what it makes it so much fun that we get to see all these different genres, different perspectives, different people's inspirations. The color, one of my favorite things is I love to see the colors people use in their art to help make it, because, you know, it stands out a different way. It gives off different feels, but somebody will be like, I don't like using yellow, or I don't like using pink. And then you'll see somebody use it and you're like, oh my God, that looks beautiful. Like what? Legitimately, one of my favorite colors to paint with is using bright red rose. And when you mix bright red rose with white, it becomes a beautiful pink. It's one of my favorite colors to use for sky. And it's funny. It's like, oh, guys shouldn't like pink. I'm like, pink looks beautiful in a painting. I don't know what it is. It's soft, it's inviting, it's also vibrant. I just love it. Something you rarely do is floral. Ugh. I tried painting flowers maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and they were one of the funnest things I ever did, and they look like crap. They were hard. I did them in the wet on wet style that you learned from the painting kit from Bob Ross. And it's so cool how you can make like a flower look like a flower, but learning the mediums of what, like how much oil to pigment you have to use is tough. Like things wouldn't blend properly. I mean, they look like flowers, but they're not good. I still hold on to them because I think they're cute. I need to get back into that though. There's so much fun and so cool. Hold on here. Okay. Well, if anybody, I can do one more. If you guys want me to do one more and you're going to chill out for a little bit and you think you're having fun, I'll do one more quick one. I don't know who wants to go after frickin' KR, but I can do one more if you want me to. If not, we can chill for just a moment or two and wrap up. But Wild's getting a little tired, a little hungry. And I could all have you go watch my top 10 hardest Bob Ross paintings and see what you think of it. I'm also, I think, out of water and coffee. You can do yours, it's simple? Okay. I can do one more before we wrap up hard here, Momo. Let's see, where did Momo? Momo sent hers here. Let's pull this in. There we go. Let me get my chat back up here. Momo. Did you paint this on a paper towel? Momo? Is this painted on a paper towel? I can't tell. Or is that a canvas roll? We're gonna look all here in a second. That video was good. I'm glad. So I have 2 videos that I just finished, KR. One is, I don't want to give away the thing, but it's also another Bob Ross video, but Bob Ross, let's just say different or unique, that I think somebody like you actually will really like, because it might open your mind to new things. And then the video I just finished yesterday is actually based upon this acrylic pour with gold leaf behind me, about a lesson I learned that I think every painter, new and old, should learn. Kim, thanks for spending part of your day with us. Oh, Kim Kimberly, thank you for that dono. That donation goal has been shattered, by the way, and I can now get another canvas to do a minimalistic sunset that I'm going to do with an impasto peel on it. So it's going to be fun. Thank you, Kim. Thank you for being a badass, and thank you for spending your day with me. Oh, yeah. You're so special. So first of all, this is interesting. It's canvas. Okay. Does this not look like a paper towel roll that then you extended down and painted? Because if it was, I was going to be like, that is awesomely clever. Let's pull this over here to the side so you guys can all see it. Oh my gosh. Baby, how often do you do these types of videos? If people keep enjoying it and people keep showing up and we keep getting more members and people want to join in, you know, I'll be more than happy to try to do it. I was going to try to say maybe like twice a month. But if I keep getting these, the last few times have been rarities. Normally my Saturdays, I don't have free time. I like to go out and do something like go hiking, go take photos, hang out with my friends, go golfing, go do something. But I'm shitting you not. Everything's so expensive right now that it's like, I don't have time to do any things, or I've been working on my own stuff. So I don't mind hanging out the Saturday mornings with you. I do want to try, though, doing a stream in the evening. Because I know a lot of people tell me, they're like, I can't make it for blank reason. I also want to try one during the day, like weekday, and see how that is, just to help people out. But once a week or once every other week. But the more YouTube members we get, the more I'll do it, because I like to do this as a benefit and a perk to them. So if you have the ability, you can always go down below the chat and you can join to be a YouTube member for as little as $1, and then all of the funds go literally back into me making more content for all of you guys. Generally, it goes into buying canvases, or more recently, buying cleaning supplies. I had to buy more gloves and thinners and stuff like that. Also, some Gojo. Gojo is a pumice soap to clean your hands from all that stuff. So that's what it kind of went to last time. Dude, I can't afford gas to go anywhere. I'm going to have to start working street corners again, just like I did in college. Start working for those Sacagawea coins. Okay, so this is interesting. This almost looks, no joke, this looks like the first painting I ever did when I did a Bob Ross tutorial class with Nick Hankins, where you do like a little bit of sky, one mountain, a set of trees and bushes on the left, and then you do like a tree here and then like a little bit of water, and that's it. This almost verbatim looks like it, except it was in different colors. You'll be here, Joy? Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you for everyone for tuning in today. I always get very worried that I'm going to do a live stream and no one's going to show up, and it's just going to be me here like reviewing my own art. Just be like, yeah, and this one I was thinking I was super sad and alone and nobody wanted to be here, so then I just painted with all my sadness of this. Hi. I'm always worried, but you guys are here, you're chatting up the storm. We're having fun, we're laughing, we're chilling, and doing all that stuff. Alrighty, let's get this, okay? Oh, I missed a comment from Aces. So you sent me a partial, then had to check it out a bit? Aw, partial. Your husband keeps me in cleaning and mineral spirits here? Ah, you got a good one there. I got no one in Ryan's life that brings me mineral spirits. Ryan's got to ride his own ticket. All right, let's take a look here. This is really cool. So done on this little canvas sheet here, we've got a beautiful sky with clouds, a very thick mountain that has seen a lot of snow. We got, I'm assuming, tree line and bush line. My eye is itchy right now. Then we got another little mountain off to the right-hand side, and then we've got some bushes with I'm gonna say maybe like ragweed. I don't know what you call these things that have like little berries on the ends of the sticks. Leading into water. So let's go through this. It's 3 p.m. for you now. It's noon for me, so you must be on the East Coast, baby. So let's go through this. It's a little patchy. I feel like you didn't have enough liquid white, and you can tell from here, or actually not there, sorry, here, and way down here, you don't have enough liquid medium. Like, look how much it runs out. And I feel like that's because you probably didn't have a proper way of holding this down. So let's correct something big for you. If this thing right here, if this thing right here is a canvas roll, or a canvas block or canvas sheets, what you can easily do is cut that, okay? So cut off a nice little 10 by 12 or whatever section you want to do. Then take masking tape and tape this to a flat surface all the way around. Now you have an easy painting surface that will create a natural border around your canvas material, so you don't have to worry about holding anything, and you can properly apply the correct liquid medium to everything that you need. Nice little easy hack. You can use a piece of wood, piece of plastic, piece of cardboard, okay? Wood's probably best because that's a rigid surface that'll be easy to stick to. Or glass. You can even do glass. You can find a big piece of glass. Just be careful. Make sure it's tempered. Tempered glass, otherwise you're going to shatter it and there's going to be glass everywhere. So when you put the proper medium down here, we can start with our strokes up here in the top and then work our way down and to our horizon line, which is right here. So work with your darkest blue here and darkest blue here, and then slowly pull it in this way. And you won't need much color because that blue is going to go far, whether it's phthalo or Prussian, okay, or whatever, except ultramarine. Ultramarine's like not a very strong blue. And then you've created your dark blue gradient with a white horizon line. And you got pretty damn close to that. You did a really good job. Your clouds are a little bit a mishmash of balls. And this sounds like my college days. And you don't have to worry about this too much. So what we're going to do to correct it is when you push in your color with your white, first take a paper towel. And if we know we're going to put a cloud here that's going across like that, and let's just say a cloud here going like that, take your paper towel, take your paper towel and rub off vigorously right here and remove all this blue pigment, okay? And what that does is when you go in and you put in your cloud, it's easily going to stick and it's easily going to pop right here. Then you can take your 2-inch brush and blend it down, cross stroke over it to build the body, and then just give it a little flick up just like that so it looks like wind is caressing through it. And then you're going to get clouds that are not contaminated by the blue that are going to stick out and be beautiful, okay? That would be one of the best things that you can do, Momo. And then just like we've seen a lot of paintings today, you're having a little bit trouble with your mountains. You've got too many mountains. If you're starting out painting, let's get back to the red. Red lets everybody know we're doing bad. You got one thing here, you got one thing here, you got one thing here. It's just too much. You got 3. Let's just do one mountain with maybe 2 peaks on it, okay? So we're going to have your mountain start, let's start it right here. Have your mountain come up, down. Let's bring it over. Let's off-center it a little bit. Down and then over, okay? And we'll continue this off and over. Boom, done. Dealer's out, okay? Then you can take your palette knife, scratch down where your highlights are going to go for what side, like that, and then fade this bottom out. Now we know exactly where we have to put our highlights. Fill this in, just like that. Fill this in and fade this sucker out over on this side, okay? Now we can put it on our shadow side. Swoop this up and around. It looks like this is going to be one mountain that has a valley ridge in it. Nice and easy. Fade this down here. Let this just fade off into nothing. Just like that. Easily done, okay? It's going to be nice and perfect, and we didn't do too much effort to make that. Now you can build your trees, and here on your trees, you have extreme mud mixing. And I know it's tough, so here's how we're going to fix it. Now that we're here, take that paper towel again, and I want you to, if we know a tree is going to go here, wipe off all of this with a paper towel. So that way we expose that toothing underneath. We're going to expose that tooth. Oh, Macho Man Randy Savage, the cream of the crop. I miss Macho Man. Now that we've exposed all that toothing, we can then take our basic dark green, brown, black color, whatever you want to use, and start literally tapping in just ever so slightly what we think is going to be the shapes of trees, okay? And then once we've tapped that in, then we can go with our highlight 1-inch brush and start pushing in with a mixture of cadmium yellow, maybe a little bit of sap green mixed in there, and then have a little bit of like alizarin crimson or bright red off to the side, so you can tap that in every so often to make a little bit of orange. And you just go in here and you tap and do this ever so slightly, but you want to leave a lot of dark because this is our background layer or midground layer of stuff, and start thinking about how you would build, you know, little highlights for trees, little highlights for bushes, little highlights for trees. Remember, our light source is here, so they all have to be coming from the side, and that's it. And you just tap that in, and then you can take your Van Dyke Brown, or your palette knife, and whoops, that was too far. And then you can just scratch and branch, scratch in a branch or a trunk, scratch in a branch or a trunk, scratch in a branch or a trunk, and that's it. You have easily made something that shouldn't be too much. Then when you get up to this foreground element right here, we've just got too much going on, sadly, okay? Cattails. Thank you, cattails. That was the thing I was thinking of. Yeah, where they come up like that, and then they got like the little thingy on them, like the little cotton ball on the top, one of those thingies. That's what I was thinking of. Yes, thank you. They have like the seeds or the pods on top of them. Okay, so this right here, this layer should go all the way across. All the way across. We're not going to worry about this at the moment, okay? So we're going to build a layer which will be bushes. I'm not even sure what this very muted out seafoam green is supposed to be. I would probably just, if I were you, I would make these bushes, the green bushes, come all the way down, and then I would build my brown cliff, not cliff, but, you know, ridge of the water right in there. And then you could scratch in water lines, and then that's it. Then I would take another layer of bushes, build that right here and stop, then take my brown layer and just, you know, cut that in just like that. So that way I have, you know, my bushes and ridge line of crest and ridge line of crest meeting the water. And then again, scratching my water lines. And then it's okay if you're brown and you're green. Let me zoom back here. It's okay if you're brown and green, whoops, go into your water here, because you know what you can do? You can take a 2-inch brush and pull it down ever so slightly, so that way you have a multitude of colors reflecting into. In fact, you should actually take this green right here. Let's get rid of this. You should take this green right here and actually paint it right here with just a little bit of color, and then pull down with a 2-inch brush like that so it reflects into the water. That would be an easy thing to do. And now and then just add in your scratches of water lines, and I would fade them out. These ones right here, I'd fade these ones out with a 2-inch or 1-inch brush just ever so lightly, or a fan brush, and then leave these ones detailed. And then boom, you've got a good, better painting. Good, better painting. My English very good. My English very good. Oh, I'm glad, David. I'm glad. We're gonna have to do yours next time. We're gonna have to do yours next time, because I think we've got yours coming up next time. I've just got so many, but this is a very simplistic painting. Very simplistic painting that I would recommend you do again, Momo. Start with your blue up here and pull it down. Clouds, work out the clouds with a paper towel, and then add them in as you go across. Just do like 2 clouds or something like that. Then you're going to take your mountain, like we said, go up and fade down and out. Then you can take your bushes, tap those in, you know, and come across, and just like that. Maybe it even goes up, it's going to go up above your mountain, all right? And then they're going to go, whoops, don't want that. Wait, what am I on now? There we go. And you're going to bring your bushes all the way down in here. So then you can add highlights here, leave dark, and then add highlights here. Then we could put in that water like we said. Then we do another layer of bushes here, and then water like we said, and that's it. It's a very simplistic painting. And I would actually probably repaint this like 2 or 3 times, just so you nail the basics, so you feel confident going forward. So I would say for your 6th and 7th painting, Momo, paint this again. It's okay. Paint it again. I've painted the same thing multiple times. That's how you learn your skills, so that way you feel confident and paint the next thing. Taping down the canvas will help a lot. It helps a ton. When things roll up, you know, when things roll up in the corners and whatnot, it just makes it more difficult. You don't have as much control with your brush or the canvas, or pushing and tapping and things move around. So yeah, that's why I said like, it would be best if you cut the canvas off from the roll, tape it down, then you're treating it like a normal canvas board or normal canvas material, and that'll help a ton. Oh, you're welcome, Tony. I'm glad that I could help you out. It makes me happy that you guys enjoy all this stuff. It was better than your 5th one, I thought too. Every painting that I show on these reviews that we do on the live streams are better than my first 50 paintings. A lot of paintings didn't make it through the trash, let's just say, for Ryan. I love looking at all these. I don't know when I'll be able to do the next one, but I'm excited to do the next one. There's a small chance I could probably do on Monday, but I might, I actually might do a painting stream, a live painting stream. I'm probably gonna have enough time to only do sky, some slight distance clouds, and just the mountain ridge. Or I might do a run through of my next Wine Wednesday painting. I'm really trying to find a painting I can do that's very simplistic, that I can also have people drink and not get overwhelmed with. So I'm thinking, let me know if this sounds good to you. I'm thinking it'll be a black canvas, where I'm going to do a very simplistic Aurora Borealis with some, probably like 3S swoops into it. And then I'm going to put almost a silhouetted mountain cutting in front of that. And then just a basic tree line that I'm going to stargaze with throwing some paint on it. And I think that'll be my next Wine Wednesday painting. I've been wanting to do a Wine Wednesday for a while. And I feel like that would be an easy, simplistic one that people could paint in a group, but also laugh and have fun with. But if I'm going to do my painting stream, I'm actually going to be doing it on Twitch. Because I need to start getting back into doing some of those for the art show that I want to try to get into. You love the live streams? I'm glad that you like it. These are fun to do, and it's a good way to help grow and meet people. I'm glad that, we all come in here and we help each other out. I just learned about a new medium. I get to see all the beautiful art that you guys do. It also helps me because I get to see from your perspective what you still suffer with. One of the things that I see all the time, and I struggled with this too, and I think it's because a lot of us follow Bob Ross tutorials or Bill Alexander tutorials or fill in the blank tutorials, is knowing where and when to stop an element in your painting. And a lot of you struggle with what I struggled in the beginning, and I probably should do this, is if like the camera that you see me filling up the space from side to side or top to bottom and side to side at the moment, like you'll take a mountain and you'll just stop it where my head is. So you have all this blank space off on the side. When a lot of you, if you're not sure what you're doing, should take it all the way to the end. But fade this off really here, because you can build layers on top of this. You're probably not going to build a layer where your mountain is because you want to show off your mountain. But if you just build it here, you have so much blank space that when you add a tree here, you have so much bare canvas behind it that it doesn't look natural. You're like, oh, I've messed that up. Now you can't go back unless you want to scrape something off. Especially if you're doing acrylic, it's already started to dry, So having the foresight of laying land is difficult, which is why in one of my tips, I say if you're following an online tutorial from any person, scroll all the way to the end, screen grab what it is, and then put that on like your phone or your iPad or your computer and have it off to the side. So that way when somebody goes up and they stop a mountain here, you're like, well, why did they stop it? Oh, and you go, oh, I'm going to put a couple of cluster of trees here. Now I know why. But if you just stopped it and they don't put anything there, you're like, fuck, now I've got a big blank spot that really ruins my painting. Because it's going to be your brightest bright or it's going to be your darkest dark, which means your eye's going to be attracted to it. And it's pulling away from your other focal points, But that I love looking at your guys' art because then I get to see it's like, oh, it seems like people are still struggling with putting on liquid white or liquid clear or understanding how to blend those gradients, or they're struggling with what really makes a painting pop. Is it the saturation? Is it the contrast? Is it light and dark? Is it the vibrancy? Is it the luminosity? It's all these different things. So I like doing these too. Plus, if I start doing the streams later at night, I can start drinking my wine and whiskey, and then Ryan can really let loose on your guys' paintings. I'm like, painting sucks. I'm like, oh, whoops, this one's mine. Beautiful Oregon weather, but we're staying inside. Well, the good news is you still got some of the day left. It's a cold day here today. Let's see. I don't even know what. It's 61. That's low for California. Real low. But yeah, this was a good stream. I just want to say thank you guys all for tuning in. I'm glad you guys had a fun time. I released a video today. It is the top 10 hardest Bob Ross paintings to paint along to, especially for new painters. If you guys want to take a look at that, I'm going to put it in chat right now. So here, we'll just do new video. Check it out. So that way you can have a fun time of looking at all of that. I'd be curious to know, what do you think is a hard video for that? Yeah, rewatch it like 17 times because that video took me a long time to make. If you've seen it once, watch it like 6 more times. Just put it on repeat actually for me. It's going to help me a ton. I'd be curious to know what you think is the hardest painting in that top 10, or if there's one that I missed, or if there's one that's like a true devil one. I know there was like one or two that I probably missed, but like I said, the prerequisite of the rules I gave, like contact paper and certain things like by Bob's Guess and whatnot. But I always love to know what other people think. Try it, Tony. The tree one, like I said, is very tough when you come across with it and you have to blend out all those colors. That one is the tough one because you get big old blobs that come across and come in weird ways. The Cowboy's not too tough if you go really slow. The seascape with the light tower was hard to duplicate for sure. Yeah, and the light tower isn't even one of the harder parts because it's just you put thick paint on for silhouette. It's almost those little houses next to it. Because like I said, that painting's difficult. I talked more about the waves on it, but it's keeping everything in perspective. You have to make sure certain things are bigger than other. You can't make sure your waves are bigger than your land. You got to make sure your land's not bigger than your buildings or vice versa. That one's tough all around because there's so much forced perspective in it. Hey, what's up, Carrie? How you doing there tonight? So appreciate all you do to guide, inspire, and teach us. You are welcome, my dear. You're coming in right at the tail end of the stream. Yeah, I'm spent, boys and girls. I had my bagel, I had my banana, I had my coffee, I had my water. I'm gonna go get some lunch. I don't know what I'm gonna work on, but I just want to say thank you so much for tuning in. If you have the opportunity, make sure you hit like and subscribe on this video. If you guys are watching this at the end of the stream or the VOD, hey, hello, leave me a nice comment if you can. If you guys want to help me out, simple things you can always do. You can always become a YouTube member for the low price of $1. But even more so, if you want to do something for free, I would really love it if you can follow me on my Instagram and you can follow me on my Twitter, trying to grow those so that way I can do some more things with you guys in the future. And also, like always, you can like and subscribe to any one of my videos and channel. That always helps me grow. I got 2 videos already in the can for you guys. I'm working on a new video coming out very shortly. Not very shortly. It's probably still 2.5 weeks away because I haven't shot it yet. But I'm going to teach someone who's never painted before with oil how to do their very first Bob Ross landscape. And I think it'll be fun. It's going to be cute. I think it'll teach you guys a lot. Plus, we're going to make a lot of mistakes and probably be drinking and more or less probably having a shot or two. So make sure you hit the subscribe button so you know when that one goes live, because the person is excited to do it, but also extremely nervous, which makes it even more cute. But with all that said, I wish you guys all have a great weekend. Take care, stay safe, and as always, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.